Chapter 18. Yang Dingtian was slightly stunned, and then poured her a glass of wine. She gently took a sip and drank half the glass. Suddenly, a red glow appeared on her frosty cheeks, making her look even more delicate and beautiful. The two of them quietly ate. Of course, Yang Dingtian ate most of the time, and Dongfang Bingling only accompanied him to drink. Yang Dingtian finished all the food, and the two of them drank an entire pot of wine. This was a strong liquor, more than a caddy. Dongfang Bingling drank more than Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian was slightly drunk, but her face was a little bright red, and she was not drunk at all. "Junior sister, do you drink often?" Yang Dingtian asked. Dongfang Bingling nodded. This answer surprised Yang Dingtian. After drinking, the distance between Yang Dingtian's brain and mouth became a lot shorter. He immediately asked directly why. "There are too many things that make me unhappy, and too many things that make me worried," Dongfang Bingling said. She was a fairy admired by all. She was a princess in the hearts of all men. As long as she frowned slightly, countless people were willing to sacrifice their lives for her. How could she be unhappy? Of course, she was worried about her father, but it should not be to the extent of drinking to drown her worries. Senior brother will slowly find out. Dongfang Bingling finished the last glass of wine and smiled at Yang Dingtian. This was the only time Yang Dingtian saw her smile today. Suddenly, the whole room seemed to be filled with countless flowers blooming. "I really hope that I can help you in the future. I can make you less worried and make you happier." Yang Dingtian couldn't help but ask. On Earth, he was a proud and reserved man who rarely took the initiative to pursue girls. That beautiful English teacher was the one who took the initiative to pursue him, but tonight, he couldn't help but say these words. Then Yang Dingtian's heart beat a little faster, and he looked forward to Dongfang Bingling's answer. At this time, the worst answer would be indifference, and the normal answer would be if he was not surprised. Her answer should be. Dongfang Bingling looked at Yang Dingtian with her beautiful eyes, then nodded and said, "Yes, I believe you." In an instant, endless sweetness filled his entire heart. After finishing the wine, Dongfang Bingling put away the bowls and chopsticks into the lunchbox. Then she found the tea leaves and tea set behind the bookshelf. "Senior brother, go get a pot of snow, the cleanest white snow." She handed the teapot to Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian took it and went outside. He filled a teapot with pure snow and then came in and handed it to Dongfang Bingling. Dongfang Bingling placed her small hand under the teapot. Her jade-like hand gently rubbed, and suddenly a blue flame swayed out, making Yang Dingtian incomparably stunned. "Junior sister, don't you have ice attribute Xian veins? How can you produce fire?" Yang Dingtian was surprised. Shiman Wuya had a fiery nature, but he was able to summon ice and fire. However, he was a grandmaster. Could it be that his fiancée had already reached the grandmaster level at such a young age? It is difficult for fire attribute Xian veins to produce ice and fire. It is relatively easy for ice attribute Xian veins to produce fire, Dongfang Bingling said. Her tone was very dull, but it was enough to shock Yang Dingtian. The cultivation of this beautiful girl in front of him had reached an extremely astonishing realm. The fire boiled the snow water. Dongfang Bingling brewed 2 cups of tea. The fragrance immediately assailed his nose. Yang Dingtian drank it all. After drinking 3 cups of tea, Dongfang Bingling stood up, picked up a stack of clothes from the side and said, "These are father's clothes. You have the same figure. Tomorrow, I will ask them to sew a new robe for senior brother. Senior brother, have a good rest. I will leave first." Dongfang Bingling turned and left. She was the princess of the Yinyang school. At this time there were countless distinguished guests in the Yinyang school. However, she accompanied Yang Dingtian to eat. She personally brought him clothes and dinner, and made him tea. "I probably won't have time to see senior brother in these 3 days. I will come again in 3 days. After Dongfang Bingling left, Yang Dingtian found the warmth behind the house and took a comfortable bath. He was in a daze when he took a bath. He was in a daze when he changed his clothes. After changing his clothes, he was still in a daze when he returned to the house. Previously, when he read that men would become very strange when they fell in love, he scoffed at it. However, he believed it now. The tea was still there. This teapot should be a treasure. The water actually didn't cool down. He drank the tea while reading the book. However, he was always on the first page. He didn't lie down to sleep until it was late at night. The cup was very light and very soft. It was even softer than the legendary velvet. However, the fragrance still assailed his nostrils. At night, Yang Dingtian undoubtedly had a dream. In his dream, Dongfang Bingling appeared. However, when the dream was at its most beautiful, he actually woke up. In the dream, he was only an inch away from Dongfang Bingling's lips before he kissed her. Yang Dingtian was very annoyed that he woke up at the most crucial moment. He desperately wanted to go back to sleep and enter the dream again. However, he couldn't sleep. He could only get up. However, his body and mind were still incomparably sweet. Soon someone brought him breakfast. However, it wasn't Dongfang Bingling. It was a beautiful maid in a blue dress. Normally, Yang Dingtian would notice her. He would even be stunned by her beauty. However, at this time, Yang Dingtian didn't even know what she looked like. This was because in his mind there was the most beautiful face in the world. The faces of other women were overshadowed by her. At noon, it was still the same maid in red who brought him food. In the evening, Dongfang Bingling still didn't come. It was still the same maid in red who brought him dinner and a new set of robes. The next day, the 3 meals were still brought by the maid in red. On this day, the Inyang school was very lively. Even though Yang Dingtian was in the remote back mountain, he could still hear the noise. Today was the most important day for the Inyang school. There were at least tens of thousands of people on the mountain. All the martial arts sects in the world had come to pay their respects. Even though he was far away, Yang Dingtian could feel the reverence of countless people. In the afternoon, it was the day of the sacrifice. The scene would definitely be very grand and spectacular. Even though he was dozens of miles away, Yang Dingtian could smell the burning incense wood and the rising smoke. Even though he was dozens of miles away, he could hear the orderly shouting and kneeling. Even though he was dozens of miles away, he could see countless rare birds flying into the sky. There were tens of thousands of them. This was a rare occasion in the world. It was held once every 10 years. Before this, Yang Dingtian was very much looking forward to it. But now he was not interested at all. There was only one thing in his mind and body. At night, countless fireworks rose into the sky and painted all kinds of bright images in the dark night sky. There were fireworks in this world too. However, they were not made with gunpowder. Instead, they were made with rare gems and herbs. They were tens of thousands of times more precious than the fireworks on Earth. However, they lasted for a few hours. The entire sky above the boundless mountain was filled with beautiful fireworks. The entire boundless mountain was lit up by countless lights. Looking down from the top of the mountain, the countless lights were like stars in the sky. It was a beautiful scene. There were tens of thousands of lights. Even in the high-tech world of Earth, Yang Dingtian had never seen such a spectacular night scene. Just as Yang Dingtian was about to go to bed, Dongfang Bingling came. He was overjoyed. It was around 11 o'clock at night. "You're so busy today. Didn't you say you wouldn't be coming?" Yang Dingtian had already stripped down to his pajamas. Dongfang Bingling was still dressed in white. She sat down opposite Yang Dingtian and said, "You didn't attend today's grand occasion. I was worried that you would be unhappy." "How is that possible?" Yang Dingtian said, "I don't mind at all. I'm very happy." "Your father's secret disciple. The less outsiders know, the better," Dongfang Bingling said. "Yes, I know." Yang Dingtian said, "How are you today? Are you tired?" "I'm not tired. I'm just a little bored and lonely," Dongfang Bingling said. Her beautiful figure looked even more lonely as she spoke. Dongfang Bingling extended her small hand. There was a blue flame petal in her palm. This is a flame flower. Every disciple of Inyang school has to wear it on the day of the grand ceremony, Dongfang Bingling said. Yang Dingtian took the flame petal and ran his finger across her palm. It was smooth, soft, and cold. It was just a light touch, but it made Yang Dingtian's body go limp. "Senior brother rests well. I'll come and see you the day after tomorrow," Dongfang Bingling said. "What's tomorrow?" Yang Dingtian couldn't help but ask. "Martial arts competition," Dongfang Bingling said. "You're going too?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Yes, there will probably be one round," Dongfang Bingling said. "Who is it?" Dongfang Bingling said, "Zhu Hongxue." Zhu Hongxue, the young master of the Black Heaven sect, one of the 3 major sects in the world. Yang Dingtian's facial muscles trembled slightly. He was jealous, but he said, "Be careful." "I will." Dongfang Bingling left and said, "I'll come and see you the day after tomorrow. I have something important to tell you." On the 3rd day, Yang Dingtian was a little restless. Dongfang Bingling and Zhu Hongxue were going to have a martial arts competition today. He heard from the rangers that Zhu Hongxue came to Yinyang School to propose marriage. The Black Heaven sect and Yinyang School were going to be connected by marriage. Zhu Hongxue was the world's #1 young master, and the world's most handsome man. Although he had never seen Zhu Hongxue, he imagined that he and Dongfang Bingling would look like a perfect couple. They were a match made in heaven. Would Dongfang Bingling win or lose? Yang Dingtian couldn't see at all. Of course, no one cared about the outcome of this competition. On this day, Yang Dingtian waited until midnight. He waited until the entire immeasurable mountain was completely quiet. Dongfang Bingling still didn't come. That night, Yang Dingtian had many dreams. One dream after another, and the dreams were very messy, chaotic, and irritable. Finally, in the dream, he seemed to have fallen into an ice cave that was thousands of meters deep. He kept falling down. Yang Dingtian suddenly stretched out his hands as if to stop himself from falling. Then, he suddenly arched his body and opened his eyes. At this time, the sky was already bright. The sun shone directly into the room. A graceful figure stood in the room. Under the sunlight, she seemed to be covered with a layer of luster. She looked even more beautiful than before. Dongfang Bingling had already arrived. She stood in the room with breakfast on the table beside him. "Junior sister, why didn't you wake me up?" Yang Dingtian hurriedly got up. After putting on his clothes and washing up, he sat at the table and ate his breakfast. "Did junior sister win or lose yesterday?" Yang Dingtian asked. "I won," Dongfang Bingling said. "But Zhu Hongxue deliberately let me win." "Is the grand ceremony over?" Yang Dingtian asked. "It's over. Most of the guests have already left the mountain," Dongfang Bingling said. For a moment, Yang Dingtian couldn't find anything to say. Dongfang Bingling stood there without saying a word. The two of them fell into silence. Yang Dingtian quickly finished his breakfast. He didn't know what it tasted like at all. "Senior brother, in father's last wish, he betrothed me to you. What do you think?" Dongfang Bingling asked directly. "Does senior brother like me?" Chapter 19. Yang Dingtian's heart began to beat faster. He said, "Yes, I do." Dongfang Bingling said, "So you want to take me as your wife?" Yang Dingtian's throat felt dry. He said, "Yes. Our parents' wishes are more important than the heavens. Furthermore, my mother completely followed my father's will," Dongfang Bingling said. Yang Dingtian didn't say anything. He waited for Dongfang Bingling to continue. "Before I was 10 years old, I worshipped my father very much, even though he was only with us for a short time," Dongfang Bingling said. "After I was 10 years old, I gradually began to hate him, because he completely disappeared. He chased after an abnormal fantasy. He left me, my mother, and the entire Yinyang school to one side. These 10 years my mother and I didn't have a good life. Because of his disappearance, our positions in the Yinyang school became more and more awkward. In the end, it was because of my hard work that I was able to take back what was rightfully mine in the Yinyang school." Dongfang Bingling's face became as cold as ice. She said, "When my father was my age, his cultivation was inferior to mine. Apart from a few people in the Yinyang school, no one else was my match. Zhu Hongxue is known as the #1 youth expert in the world. However, even if he didn't let me win yesterday, he still might not have been able to defeat me. If nothing unexpected happens in 15 years, I will be the new Yinyang school head. In 20 years, my cultivation will surpass my father's. In 35 years, I might break the legend that no one has been able to become a martial saint for the past several hundred years. Everything that I have today and everything that I will have in the future is all due to my own efforts. It has nothing to do with my father. 10 years ago, he disappeared. 10 years later, he casually sent someone to tell me that in the future, this person will be the Yinyang school sect head. In the future, this person will be my husband. Why? Just because he is my father? Dongfang Bingling's voice turned cold. Senior Marshal Brother, although I, Dongfang Bingling, am not a real fairy, I am not someone who will be given to anyone just because they want me to. Dongfang Bingling shook her head and said, I am really not that cheap. Senior Brother Yang, I am very grateful to you for accompanying my father for the last year and a half. I'm also very grateful to you for traveling thousands of miles to deliver my father's will. I'll definitely repay your kindness. But, Dongfang Bingling's beautiful eyes glanced at Yang Dingtian. He finally saw a trace of arrogance in her beautiful eyes. Looking at Yang Dingtian was like a princess at the top of Mount Tai looking at a peasant in the countryside. It was like a fairy from the ninth heaven looking at an ant on the ground. This kind of gaze was very secretive. It only flashed past, and it was only at this moment that Yang Dingtian could sense it. My husband has to be unparalleled. He has to be admired by millions of people. He has to be a perfect match for me. Dongfang Bingling stared at Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian, I've talked a lot with you these 3 days. I even brought food and made tea for you. All of this was to repay your kindness in delivering the letter and protecting my father. Otherwise, even Zhu Hongxue wouldn't be qualified for me to make tea for him. I wanted to make you recognize reality through close contact with you. I didn't want you to take the initiative to break off the engagement. That would be a great humiliation for you. Dongfang Bingling coldly said. But I didn't expect that the more approachable I appeared, the more unwise you became, the more you wanted to get closer to me. This made me very disappointed. It's been 3 days. Since you didn't take the initiative to bring it up, then I have no choice but to speak up. Even if this makes me seem snobbish. Dongfang Bingling said. You came from far away to deliver the letter to the Yinyang school. You protected my father for the last 2 years. I owe you a debt of gratitude. I don't want to embarrass you like this. But you're too stupid. You force me to speak too clearly. During the entire process, Yang Dingtian sat there without moving. It was as if his entire body had been struck by lightning. His entire body was numb and he forgot to react. Dongfang Bingling looked at Yang Dingtian and said, Don't worry. I will repay your kindness. Moreover, I will let you enjoy it for the rest of your life. I secretly checked your Xian meridians. You might be able to enter a small sect, but you're not qualified to enter the Yinyang school. But looking at your debt of gratitude, I can let you become a disciple of the Yinyang school. Dongfang Minmi said that even he was unable to detect Yang Dingtian's 9 Yangxian meridians. He only knew that Yang Dingtian had the 9 Yangxian meridians from Yang Dingtian's description. Then he watched Yang Dingtian practice the Zhenyang fist and cleansed Yang Dingtian's meridians. Shiman Wuya was also a master of his generation. However, when he was healing Yang Dingtian, his Xian Qi entered the depths of Yang Dingtian's body. He only felt that his meridians were chaotic, and was unable to examine them specifically. Shiman Wuya was a learned man. He speculated that Yang Dingtian's Xian meridians were unfathomable. Dongfang Bingling continued. Moreover, I can give you a lot of pills, create a lot of conditions for you, give you the best weapons, and let you go to the sect's high-level secret realm to cultivate. I will let you have a future that far surpasses your own talent. Yang Dingtian, I can give you a lot of things that will far surpass your kindness. You can tell me now, what do you want? Dongfang Bingling said. Gold coins? Secret manuals? Pills? Weapons? Martial spirit? Status? Power and so on. As long as you tell me, I can give you anything. At this time, Yang Dingtian gradually woke up from the lightning strike. Just now, his whole body didn't feel like it was his own. Every word that Dongfang Bingling said seemed to be beyond the 9 heavens, but every word was like thunder that resounded in his ears. Humiliation, humiliation. Endless humiliation. He should be angry, should be furious, because laughing 3 times should be howling with grief and indignation. He had never suffered such humiliation before. On earth, he was the center of attention and was doted on since he was young. His parents liked him. Although his teachers had some headaches because he wasn't a good student, he was very smart and his grades were very good. Therefore, his teachers still liked him. From elementary school to middle school to university, there were girls who wrote him love letters. In the end, his English teacher, Li Bijuan, became his girlfriend. She was a beauty of the school and had countless outstanding suitors. But even so, it was still Li Bijuan who took the initiative to pursue him. After transmigrating to another world, he was also highly valued. The strongest person in the world, Dongfang Minmi, took the initiative to take him in as a disciple, gave him the position of lord, and betrothed his daughter to him. The overlord Shiman Wuya wanted to betroth his daughter to him and make him the next lord of Cloud Sky City. However, at this time he suffered such a huge humiliation. He really wanted to say, "Don't bully a poor young man. 30 years in the east, 30 years in the west." But thousands of words, countless grief and indignation burned in his chest and turned into ashes, leaving only a cold face and an indifferent expression. Yang Dingtian stood up and said, "I'm sorry, junior sister. Lust made me lose my mind. Some things made me lose my rationality." Dongfang Bingling still looked at him indifferently and didn't say anything. If a man wants something, he should take it with his own ability and not rely on others to give it to him. Yang Dingtian stood in front of Dongfang Bingling and looked at her. He said coldly, "What belongs to me, I will take it back in the future. So you don't have to give me anything. As for you saying that I came all the way here to send a letter and protect your father for a year and a half, in your eyes, this is a great kindness." Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, "But in my eyes this is not kindness. He is your father, but at the same time he is also my master. I also see him as a father. Everything I do is my duty, not kindness, so you don't owe me anything." After hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Dongfang Bingling frowned her beautiful brows and said, "You've thought it through, that's good. But don't use such a tone with me. Since I want to give it to you, you should take it. If you care about your pride now, you might regret it in the future. That's my business. Yang Dingtian, if there's nothing else, and if this place allows me to continue living, then Miss Dongfang, please leave. I want to be alone." "There's one more thing," Dongfang Bingling said. "You also said that if you want something, you should take it with your own ability. That's very good. Then please hand it over." "What thing?" Yang Dingtian asked. "The flame ring that represents your identity as the head of the Yinyang school. It can command everyone in the Yinyang school." Dongfang Bingling said, "Are you going to say that you don't know? Or that it's not even with you?" Yang Dingtian raised his eyebrows. This flame ring was the only thing his master gave him. The most important thing was that there were words left for Yang Dingtian. When Yang Dingtian's cultivation reached a certain level and he could summon the flame ring, he would tell Yang Dingtian some secrets. The biggest secrets in the world, and this secret included why his master was killed and who killed him. Therefore, he would not give this thing to anyone. "I'm sorry, I can't give it to you," Yang Dingtian said coldly. "This belongs to my master. He gave it to me personally. I can't give it to you. This belongs to the head of the Yinyang school. It's the sect head's token. You don't have the right and you don't deserve it." Dongfang Bingling said coldly, "Hand it over. I can give you anything you want. You can also stay in the Yinyang school. We will give you a lot of resources and help you become an unimaginable powerhouse. Otherwise," Yang Dingtian said coldly. Dongfang Bingling said coldly, "Otherwise, you will be considered a thief of the Yinyang school's treasure. Your flame ring will be forcibly taken away, and you will be punished. Of course, we are indebted to you for sending the message, so we won't harm your life. However, if you offend the Yinyang school, I can guarantee that you won't be able to move a single step in this world." Dongfang Bingling's face turned cold. Her gaze suddenly became as sharp as a sword. She stared at Yang Dingtian for a while before saying, "I don't want to make a move against you personally. I will send someone here within 2 hours. I hope that you will think carefully during this time." Dongfang Bingling's last words were filled with danger. After she finished speaking, she directly walked out. When she reached the door, she turned around and said, "I hope that you won't plead with my mother and take advantage of her innocence and kindness. She is not in the Yinyang school right now." Swoosh! A pair of ice wings suddenly appeared on her back. It grew bigger and bigger, and then she flew down the mountain. Perhaps she wasn't flying but gliding off the ground. However, it was still very stunning. Dongfang Bingling was really strong. Chapter 20. After Dongfang Bingling left, Yang Dingtian stood motionless in the room. He reached out and touched the position of the ring of flames. Even though it was empty, he could still feel the surging power of the ring of flames. It was like a volcano that was about to erupt, and it was also like the boundless anger in Yang Dingtian's heart. It was suppressed and surging. When it finally erupted, it was as if it wanted to destroy the entire world. This was his master's study. He had stayed there for 3 days. Now that he was about to leave, he reluctantly took one last look at it. He couldn't stay here anymore. He couldn't stay in Yinyang School anymore. If he was willing to compromise, he could of course stay in Yinyang School peacefully. But he wasn't willing to compromise. When he left his master for Yinyang School, he really didn't think that this would be the outcome. But even if he thought this would be the outcome, he would still give the Ring of Flames to his master's wife. Nothing would change. He was about to start running for his life. Perhaps it would really be difficult for him to move a single step in this world. However, he had even crossed over due to spontaneous combustion of his penis. Why would he care about being hunted down and hunted by the Yinyang sect? Master, goodbye. Yinyang School, goodbye. Yang Dingtian bowed to the center of the study, then turned and left. After leaving his master's study, he couldn't walk forward. Ahead of him was the densely packed Yinyang School complex. There were Yinyang School disciples everywhere. He had to walk in the direction of the back mountain. The back mountain was barren and remote. Under the cover of the dense forest, he might be able to escape. As expected, there wasn't a single person in the back mountain. There was snow and trees everywhere. Yang Dingtian ran down the mountain with all his might. Of course, he would leave behind many footprints that would be easily discovered. But at this time he couldn't care less. Dongfang Bingling said that she would give him 2 hours to consider. That meant that within these 2 hours, he wouldn't send anyone to his master's study and wouldn't discover Yang Dingtian's escape. He might be able to escape in 2 hours at his fastest speed. Yang Dingtian's speed was very fast. He continued to rush down the mountain. Yang Dingtian plowed a long trench in the thick snow. No, this speed is still too slow. Someone will catch up to me in 2 hours. The snow here was very thick. If one used a sleigh to ski, the speed would be much faster. Yang Dingtian took out a dagger, which was given to him by Shiman Wuya. He used the dagger to cut off a branch and used the fastest speed to cut it into 2 beginner sleds. This dagger was very sharp, and it only took a few minutes to make a rough sledge. He cut off the leather from his clothes and tied the sled to his feet. Then he cut off 2 straight branches and used them as poles. Swoosh! Sure enough, the speed increased a lot. It could be said to be as fast as lightning. The snow on a measurable mountain was very thick. The trees were also relatively sparse. One by one, the trees receded rapidly. When Yang Dingtian was born on Earth, he was very fond of skiing. His skills were top-notch. Therefore, even though there were a lot of trees here with his tense nerves, he would never crash into them. Ever since he practiced the Zhenyang Fist and the Heaven and Earth technique, his control over his body had improved a lot. His entire body seemed to have become much lighter. His speed became faster and faster. In the end, the wind was like a knife hanging on his face. Yang Dingtian felt more and more at ease as he got further and further away from Yinyang School. Just as he was immersed in the pleasure of flying, a bell suddenly rang from the other side of the mountain. Immediately after, a deep voice rang out. "You dare to steal from my Yinyang School? Do you think there's no one in my Yinyang School?" This voice was clearly very far away. It was at least dozens of miles away, but it sounded like it was right next to his ear. "Oh no, I've been discovered. Yinyang School will catch up soon." Yang Dingtian immediately skied even faster. Slide, 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 speed up, speed up, speed up. Even though he could not see them, Yang Dingtian could already sense that countless Yinyang School disciples were not far behind him. They were getting closer and closer. Suddenly, there was the cry of a large bird in the sky. Yang Dingtian looked up. It was the snow-white giant rocks of the Black Heaven sect. There were a total of 2 of them. The disciples on top had also noticed the Yinyang School disciples on the ground. "Thief, surrender immediately." The Black Heaven sect disciple on top of the giant rock said coldly. Yang Dingtian ignored him and continued to ski forward. The Black Heaven sect disciple on top of the giant rocks was not anxious at all. He sneered and locked onto Yang Dingtian from the sky. Faster, faster, faster. Yang Dingtian was running wildly with his head down. Suddenly, he felt a sudden emptiness in front of him. He immediately looked forward. He immediately broke out in a cold sweat. He quickly stopped the sled and made a sharp turn. It turned out that there was nothing in front of him. There was no forest or anything else. The entire mountain seemed to have been cut off here. In front of him was a 10,000-foot cliff. Below the cliff were terrifying reefs and the vast and boundless sea. The north side of Boundless Mountain was facing the sea. There was no way out at all. If Yang Dingtian had stopped the sled a second later, he would have rushed out and fallen off the cliff. He would have been smashed into pieces. Yang Dingtian wanted to cry but had no tears. He knew nothing about the geography of Boundless Mountain. That was why he fled in this direction. Who knew that it was a dead end? No wonder the Black Heaven sect disciple was not anxious at all. He only stared coldly at Yang Dingtian as he fled. The two giant rocks slowly descended and finally stopped 3 to 4 meters above the ground. They blocked the left and right paths. The Black Heaven sect disciple on top of them coldly pulled out his sword and stared at Yang Dingtian. The two giant rocks were indeed huge. They looked like two airplanes up close. When they flapped their wings, the wind caused the trees to sway left and right. The snow on top of them rustled down. The two Black Heaven sect disciples had no intention of coming down to catch Yang Dingtian. They just watched him closely. Just a moment later, two shadows flew over from afar, bringing with them a fragrant wind. The two shadows, one snow white and one sky blue, landed 10 meters in front of Yang Dingtian. The two of them retracted the celestial chi wings on their backs. One of them was as cold as ice, unparalleled in beauty, and graceful like a fairy. She was Dongfang Bingling. The other person had a jade-like face. He was incomparably handsome, tall and proud. He should be the legendary #1 youth expert in the world, the most handsome man in the world. He was the young master of the Black Heaven sect, Zhu Hongxue. When the two of them stood together, they looked like a match made in heaven. It was completely embarrassing. The two Black Heaven sect disciples on top of the giant rocks immediately knelt down and said respectfully, "Greetings, young master." "Greetings, Miss Dongfang." Zhu Hongxue ignored them. He did not even glance at Yang Dingtian. He said to Dongfang Bingling, "Junior sister, is he the one who stole from you?" Dongfang Bingling nodded and stepped forward. "Hand over the flame ring and I'll pretend that nothing happened. You can still enter the Yinyang school and get what I gave you." Yang Dingtian grinned and said, "Or else." Dongfang Bingling said coldly, "Don't do this just because my family is indebted to you. My patience is limited." Then, Dongfang Bingling took another step forward. She was only 5 meters away from Yang Dingtian. She stretched out her snow-white hand and said, "Hand it over and you'll have a bright future. If you don't, you'll be cutting your own path of retreat." Yang Dingtian said coldly, "I won't hand over what master gave me. If you want it, come and get it yourself." Dongfang Bingling took another step forward. She was only 3 meters away from Yang Dingtian. She said coldly, "Hand it over and you'll have a bright future. If you don't, you'll be cutting your own path of retreat." At the same time, an extremely powerful aura came over. It made Yang Dingtian feel a little suffocated. Zhu Hongxue, who was as white as snow, suddenly frowned and said, "Junior sister, don't get too close to such an ant-like person. Don't let his breath pollute your body and eyes. Don't even touch him." Zhu Hongxue's words were very intimate and domineering. He completely treated Dongfang Bingling as his exclusive property. Dongfang Bingling heard his words and could not help but frown slightly. She seemed a little unhappy. You go and take his things. If he resists, kill him." Zhu Hongxue pointed at the two Black Heaven sect disciples on the giant rock and said, "Yes." The two Black Heaven sect disciples jumped off the giant rock. They waved their swords and slowly approached. "Senior brother Zhu, my family is indebted to this person. Don't kill him. My family's things should be in his hands." Dongfang Bingling said. Zhu Hongxue frowned and said, "You two, chop off his hands." "Yes." The two Black Heaven sect disciples said. Dongfang Bingling stared coldly at Yang Dingtian. "I don't want to see this happen either. However, that thing doesn't belong to you. If you want to take it for yourself, you'll have to be punished. It's not too late to wake up now. Hand over that thing and I'll keep your hands. Otherwise, you'll have nowhere to go. This is a dead end." Dongfang Bingling said. Hand it over and you'll still be a disciple of the Yinyang school. You'll bring honor to your ancestors. Junior sister, why are you talking so much to him? Zhu Hongxue said impatiently. It's an insult to my status to talk to someone like him. Yang Dingtian looked at Zhu Hongxue and said coldly, You're just relying on your ancestors' glory. Who do you think you are? Why are you pretending to be noble? He should not have said that, but he could not help it. What did you say? Zhu Hongshue's face turned cold. He scolded coldly, You're asking for it. Bang! Zhu Hongxue slammed his palm into the air. Zhu Hongxue was very powerful, but Yang Dingtian still slammed his palm into Zhu Hongxue. Boom! Suddenly, an extremely powerful force slammed into Yang Dingtian's chest. It was as if he was hit by a 10,000-pound hammer. Blood spurted out like an arrow. Go, chop off his hands and cut off his tongue. Zhu Hongxue said coldly. Yes. Two Black Heaven sect disciples immediately rushed forward. With a flash of their swords, they slashed at Yang Dingtian's arms. Yang Dingtian laughed maniacally. Dongfang Bingling, you want my ring of flames? Dream on. I'd rather die than hand it over. Dongfang Bingling, if I survive today, I'll return today's humiliation 100-fold. With a roar, Yang Dingtian leaped off the cliff abruptly. Dongfang Bingling did not expect Yang Dingtian to jump off the cliff when he had nowhere else to go. This was a 10,000-foot cliff. If he jumped off, he would die without a doubt. Zhu Hongxue, if I survive, I'll annihilate the Black Heaven sect and wipe out your Zhu family. When Yang Dingtian jumped off the cliff, he used the last of his strength to scream. Chapter 21. In your dreams. Zhu Hongxue shouted coldly and leaped into the air. He aimed at the falling Yang Dingtian and struck out a palm. Because of Dongfang Bingling's words, he didn't kill him in the first strike. He was definitely going to kill Yang Dingtian with this palm strike. A frenzied saber with blue flame suddenly shot out from the void and slashed down at Yang Dingtian, who was drifting down. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's body was like a fallen leaf in the wind. He was slashed so hard that he bent over while spurting out fresh blood. From his mouth, from his nose, from his mouth, from his ears, and from every part of his body, a cloud of blood spurted out. In an instant, Yang Dingtian's body was covered in blood. He fell down the cliff. Dongfang Bingling stepped forward and looked at Yang Dingtian with a complicated expression. She gritted her teeth and said, I didn't want to kill him. What's the big deal about a pig or a dog like him dying? Zhu Hongxue said lightly. Then Zhu Hongxue said casually, The thing on his body is the flame ring. It won't break. It's just that this cliff is a mystic chi forbidden area. Go down and find his body and take the flame ring back. Hearing Zhu Hongshue's words, Dongfang Bingling's expression changed slightly. Zhu Hongshue's proud face showed a rare gentleness. My father already guessed that sect leader Dongfang is no longer alive. Your father is gone, but there's still me and the Black Sky sect. I won't let you suffer any grievances. Dongfang Bingling's beautiful face had a complicated expression. She gritted her teeth. She liked to hear such words. She didn't want to rely on anyone. She didn't want to be controlled by anyone. Yang Dingtian seemed to have entered an incomparably dark world. He couldn't feel any pain. There was only endless emptiness. His body and soul seemed to be falling into a bottomless abyss. The bottom of the dark abyss seemed to be bottomless. As he fell, his life force seemed to be drained from his body. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! This deep voice seemed to resound from beyond the 9 heavens. A warm and fiery energy suddenly supported his falling soul, causing him to fall slower and slower. The surrounding environment also seemed to become brighter and brighter. Finally, Yang Dingtian opened his eyes abruptly and saw a familiar face. But when he saw this face again, countless emotions surged out violently. It was Shimen Wuya. It was Shimen Wuya who had saved Yang Dingtian. His palm had been supporting Yang Dingtian's back the entire time, as he continued to inject profound qi to support Yang Dingtian's life. Even though he was a grandmaster, his face was covered in sweat. Fortunately, I finally snatched your life back from hell, Shimen Wuya said with a smile, and a trace of tiredness appeared on his face. As a grandmaster, he would never be tired. It could be seen how much profound qi he had used to save Yang Dingtian's life. We were preparing to leave on a boat, but unexpectedly, we saw a bloody man floating on the sea. We thought he was dead, but we wanted to bury him out of morality. However, we were shocked to find that the bloody man was actually you. Shimin Wuya said. If it were anyone else, even if their cultivation was 10 times higher than yours, they would have died from such a heavy blow. However, your incomparably strong meridians were able to withstand the energy of such a heavy blow. Although your meridians were ruptured, you still retained a trace of life force. Your energy sea also didn't explode. I really can't imagine what kind of profound meridians you have. Shimin Wuya said. City Lord Shimin, where am I now? How long have I been unconscious for? Yang Dingtian asked. We are on a boat on the way back to Cloud Sky City. You have been unconscious for 6 hours. Shimin Wuya said. Then Shimin Wuya suppressed his anger and said, what exactly happened? Who was it that injured you? You have only just passed the initiation period. You are not even a novice warrior. Who did this to you? Yang Dingtian was silent for a long time and said, City Lord Shimin, do you still remember the flame ornament? Shimin Wuya nodded. If it was something else, I would have given it to Miss Shimin. However, this item is too special. It is a token of love between my master and master's wife. I need to take this flame ornament to Yinyang School to reunite with master's wife. Yang Dingtian said, I was originally an ordinary person. However, by chance, I fell into a cave and found a frozen and dying old man. I saved him. That cave was very deep. We couldn't get out. The old man and I depended on each other for survival. We both treated each other as family. One day, 2 years later, he told me that his name was Dongfang Minmi, and that he was the sovereign of Yinyang School. He asked me if I was willing to become his disciple. I treated him as my closest kin, so of course I agreed. Not only did he accept me as his disciple, he also betrothed his only daughter, Dongfang Bingling, to me. Master said that I was his only direct disciple. Therefore, I was also the future sovereign of Yinyang School. Therefore, he gave me the sovereign's flame ring. In order to prove my identity, he also gave me the flame pendant and asked me to take it to the Yinyang sect and give it to the master's wife. This is their token of love. It contains the last words of the master to the master's wife. After reading it, the master's wife will know who I am and what to do. City Lord Shimin should be able to imagine what happened next. Yang Dingtian said, Of course I want to. Shimin Wuya said, Senior Dongfang hasn't seen his daughter for 10 years. He doesn't know that his daughter has changed. However, even if she was too arrogant, or had eyes but failed to see and look down on you, she could have just cancelled the engagement. I don't believe that you would continue to pester her. Why would she want to kill you? She wanted me to hand over the flame ring, but it was given to me by master. I couldn't give it to her. Yang Dingtian said I wanted to escape from Yinyang School, but she and Zhu Hongxue forced me into a dead end. I would rather die than hand over the flame ring, so I jumped off the cliff. I understand. Shimin Wuya clenched his fists, suppressing his anger. Then, Shimin Wuya grabbed Yang Dingtian's right hand and injected a stream of Xian Qi into it. A ball of flame appeared. Immediately, that magnificent flame ring appeared on Yang Dingtian's right hand's ring finger. Is this the thing? Shimin Wuya said. Then, he let go of Yang Dingtian's right hand. The flame ring slowly disappeared. Disobeying your parents is unfilial. Looking down on your future husband is disrespectful. Going out with other men is unfaithful. Going after your future husband with other men is a great crime. Senior Dongfang is a hero, and Madame Dongfang is gentle and virtuous. How could they give birth to such an unfilial, unfaithful, and shameless daughter? Shimin Wuya said coldly, moreover, how could she not know about Zhu Qingzhu's wild ambition? How could she not know that Zhu Qingzhu played a very suspicious role in Senior Dongfang's disappearance 10 years ago, and his tragic ending? One day, the Yin and Yang sect will be destroyed in the hands of this ambitious and self-righteous woman. Shimin Wuya said, Child, Yinyang School belongs to your master, but it also belongs to you. You can't just sit and watch. Shimin Wuya said, I'm also from Yinyang School. You and I can't just watch as the 1,000-year foundation of Yinyang School is destroyed by Dongfang Bingling. You can't stay in Inyang School for the time being. Come back to Cloud Sky City with me, okay? Shimin Wuya said, I've said it before. What Inyang School can give you, Cloud Sky City can give you. I have a master. I will never change my master, Yang Dingtian said. Shimin Wuya said, Cloud Sky City is also from Inyang School. Could it be that in your eyes, Cloud Sky City is also a traitor to Inyang School? It's hard to say who is the traitor between ancestor Yang Yunxiao and Lung Wuyan from hundreds of years ago. That's right. I once wanted you to be my successor and the new lord of Cloud Sky City, Shimin Wuya said. However, since you are Senior Dongfang's disciple, the person I respect the most in my life is Senior Dongfang. So I gave up on this idea. I won't let you change your master. Your master is still Dongfang Minmi. I am only your martial uncle, Shimin Wuya said. Cloud Sky City will do its best to nurture you. We don't need you to do anything. We don't even need you to join Cloud Sky City. We don't need you to repay anything. When you are strong enough, you can return to Inyang School and take back the position of lord that belongs to you. Of course, I only have one request for you. When you become the lord of Inyang School, Shimin Wuya sighed and said, when you become the Inyang School's lord, give the order to pardon Cloud Sky City's traitors and let Cloud Sky City recognize its ancestors. Yang Dingtian hesitated for a while before saying, Lord Shimin, isn't it good for Cloud Sky City to dominate a region? Why do we have to live under someone else's roof? Shimin Wuya shook his head and said, Child, if you were my successor, you would be the next lord of Cloud Sky City. Of course, I would be willing to let Cloud Sky City dominate a region or defeat Inyang School and take back the orthodoxy, or create a system of its own and become the most powerful martial artist in the world. But I can't do that now. You are senior brother Dongfang's disciple. I can't snatch it from you. Cloud Sky City has been weak for hundreds of years. I am the only person who is at the Grandmaster level. In the next generation, I can't find a particularly outstanding successor. If I don't wash away the traitor's name and don't recognize my ancestors, Cloud Sky City will be destroyed. Shimin Wuya said helplessly, all these years, because of my prestige, Cloud Sky City has indeed offended many people. We have practically stepped on the heads of many sections. When I go, it will be the end of Cloud Sky City. Child, come with me to Cloud Sky City. Shimin Wuya's eyes were filled with sincerity and expectation. I will be like Dongfang Minmi and not hold back for you. I will let you grow into the strongest person in the world. Okay. Yang Dingtian said, thank you, Uncle Shimin. But don't force Yin to marry me. She doesn't like me. Also, after this incident, I understand that if I want something, I can only use my own strength to get it and not rely on others to give it to me. Well said. Shimin Wuya said, Uncle Shimin promises that in less than 10 years, I will let you take revenge for today. In less than 10 years, I will let Dongfang Bingling taste today's humiliation and let her live in regret for the next few decades. As for Yin, I won't force her to marry you. But after you two get to know each other, you might really like each other. Shimin Wuya smiled and said, so I can't say for sure now. Then Shimin Wuya suddenly stood up and said, no, we have to speed up and return to Cloud Sky City as soon as possible. The people from Inyang School can't find your body, so they will naturally search the sea. They might catch up very soon. Chapter 22. Then, Shimin Wuya ordered loudly, everyone, get on board and return to Cloud Sky City as soon as possible. Yes, there was a response from outside. Full sail. Everyone get on board and hold oars. Full speed ahead, return to Cloud Sky City. This was Shimin Yan's voice. Yes. Then hundreds of people on the boat shouted in unison. Then, everyone ran out of their cabins and went to the lower deck to row the boat. Outside there was a dense sound of footsteps. Shimin Wuya frowned and said, I hope they won't catch up so quickly. After one more day, they won't be able to catch up. Then, Shimin Wuya sat behind Yang Dingtian and continued to transfer celestial qi into his body. Don't worry, I'm your uncle. No matter who comes, I'll protect you. You just need to rest. Then the two of them were silent. Shimin Wuya quietly treated Yang Dingtian's injuries. A few minutes later, Shimin Wuya suddenly opened his eyes and sighed. They really came. They came so quickly. I hope they won't be too difficult to deal with. Dongfang Bingling greets Uncle Shimin. Dongfang Bingling's voice came from the sea outside. Zhu Hongxue of the Black Sky sect greets City Lord Shimin. Then came Zhu Hongshua's arrogant voice. Jiang Songyang of the Yinyang School greets City Lord Shimin. Junior brother Shimin, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Even though they were so far away, this person's voice still shook the candlelight beside Yang Dingtian. When Shimin Wuya heard this name, his eyebrows twitched. Uncle Shimin, who is this person? Yang Dingtian asked. Your master, Dongfang Minmi's senior brother. He once fought with your master for the position of Yinyang School head, Shimin Wuya said. Yang Dingtian suddenly gasped. This Jiang Songyang was actually his master's senior brother. It could be seen that his cultivation was high. It was quiet outside. Shimin Wuya let out a long sigh of relief and said, just these 3 people? That's good. They might not be able to keep me here. As soon as Shimin Wuya's voice fell, the voice from outside resounded again. Wu Ying of Yinyang School greets senior brother Shimin. A cold voice rang out. It sounded completely emotionless, as if it was a dead thing. Is he here too? Shimin Wuya said. This is your master's junior brother in name. He is the adjudicator of the Yinyang School and is responsible for killing people. No less than 5 sect leaders have died in his hands. He has killed no less than 1,000 people in his life. Shimin Wuya, are you coming out? Or should we board your ship? This was an incomparably feminine voice. Like a needle, it drilled into Yang Dingtian's ears, causing the muscles all over his body to twitch. Hearing this voice, Shimin Wuya's complexion suddenly changed. Who is this person? Yang Dingtian asked. Ningbusi, your master's martial uncle, one of the grand elders of the Yinyang School. He has been in seclusion for 20 years and didn't even appear at the grand ceremony. I didn't expect him to appear here, Shimin Wuya said. Yang Dingtian held his breath. This person was actually the martial uncle of his master, Dongfang Minmi. It was clear how powerful he was. Shimin Wuya let out a long sigh and said, it seems that the situation is worse than I imagined. I'm afraid tonight won't be peaceful. Hand me over, martial uncle. Yang Dingtian said. Hand me over. Shimin Wuya gently shook his head and said, how can I? Don't be silly. Although his tone was calm, it was full of arrogance. City Lord Shimin, how have you been? A very ordinary voice rang out. It wasn't as sharp as before, nor was it as shocking as before. It was just the voice of an ordinary man. However, after hearing this voice, Shimin Wuya's body suddenly shook. His wide sleeves shook violently. This was a reaction that Shimin Wuya had never had before. Martial uncle, who is this person? Yang Dingtian asked. Zhu Qingzhu, Shimin Wuya said slowly. Zhu Qingzhu, the leader of the Black Heaven sect, the true overlord of the universe. 10 years ago, your master Dongfang Minmi was #1 in the world, and he was #2. Shimin Wuya said, however, this person is very mysterious. Being #2 doesn't mean that he is #2. This person is the most dangerous and powerful person in the world. If you meet this person in the future, you can't overestimate him. Do you understand? Although I don't have any evidence, your master's tragic end is related to him. Shimin Wuya said. Even he has appeared. It seems that tonight is not just for you. Martial Uncle Shimin, is Yang Dingtian on your ship? Dongfang Bingling shouted in a crisp voice. He is a prisoner of the Yinyang School. Please hand him over and we will let you go. Shimin Wuya sneered silently. Then he said to the outside, Yin Shimin Yen, come in. The beautiful Shimin Yin Yen walked in. Shimin Yen, the adopted son of Shimin City Lord, also walked in. Their faces were full of uneasiness. They even forgot their hostility towards Yang Dingtian. Yin, get me a basin of water, Shimin Wuya said. Yes, Dad. Shimin Wuya walked to the corner of the room and got a basin of water. Because his hands were trembling, the water splashed onto the ground. Jiang Songyang's voice came from outside. Shimin Wuya, do you think you will be fine if you hide inside? We didn't rush in because we wanted to give you face. I will count down from 10. If you don't hand over Yang Dingtian, we will board the ship. Yang Dingtian said again, Martial Uncle, hand me over. 10. 9. Outside, Jiang Songyang's counting was like chasing after a soul. Shimin Wuya completely ignored Jiang Songyang's counting and Yang Dingtian's voice. He put his slender hands in the basin and carefully washed them. Then he shook them gently and took a towel to wipe them gently. The sea will definitely be dyed red with blood tonight, Shimin Wuya said. Yin Shimin Yen, if I don't come back later, remember to bring everyone back to Cloud Sky City and immediately surrender to the Yinyang school. No matter how humiliating it is, accept it as long as the lives of everyone in Cloud Sky City are saved, Shimin Wuya said. Dad, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Shimin Yin desperately covered her ears and cried. Shimin Yin gritted his teeth and said, Godfather, we don't have to do this at all. At this time, Yang Dingtian didn't speak anymore. He suddenly struggled out of bed and walked outside. In order to live, he couldn't let Shimin Wuya die. Shimin Wuya gently waved his sleeve and directly slapped Yang Dingtian into the air. He lay back on the bed and then took out a pill and stuffed it into Yang Dingtian's mouth. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian felt drowsy and his vision blurred. Silly child. Shimin Wuya smiled faintly and said, It's not my style to let others take you away like this. Of course, when I fall in the end, I won't be able to protect you. Your life will end here. 3, 2, 1. Outside, Yinyang School's elder Jiang Songyang had finished his countdown. Junior brother Shimin, we're going to board your ship, Jiang Songyang said loudly. No, I'm coming, Shimin Wuya said. Then he opened the cabin door and walked out. Dad, don't go out. Shimin Yin cried loudly. Then she suddenly pulled out her sword and rushed out, saying, Dad, I'll go with you. If we die together. Shimin Wuya waved his sleeve. A strong and gentle wind directly pushed Shimin Yin back. The second wind caused Shimin Yin and Shimin Yin to both faint. The third wind caused the cabin door to be closed. Shimin Wuya walked to the deck and saw that he was surrounded by several large ships. In the surrounding few hundred meters of the sea, more than a dozen experts floated in the air and surrounded the large ship of Cloud Sky City. Greetings, senior brother Jiang Songyang. Greetings, junior brother Wu Ying. Greetings, Marshal Uncle Ning Busi. Finally, Shimin Wuya bowed toward the darkness and said slowly, Greetings, sect leader Zhu. Jiang Songyang said, Junior brother Shimin, you're finally out. Is the Yinyang School's prisoner Yang Dingtian on your ship? Yes, Shimin Wuya said. But senior brother Jiang, may I ask what crime Yang Dingtian committed? Even Marshal Uncle Ning Busi was alerted. He stole the Yinyang School's flame ring, Jiang Songyang said. Jiang Songyang said. And he's even wearing the flame ring with you, a traitor of the Yinyang sect. Isn't that a serious crime? Shimin Wuya pretended not to hear the hidden meaning in Jiang Songyang's words. He smiled and said, Senior brother Jiang, you must have misunderstood. I heard that Yang Dingtian didn't steal the flame ring. Instead, senior brother Dongfang Minmi personally gave it to him and appointed him as the successor of the Yinyang school. And he even betrothed niece Dongfang Bingling to Yang Dingtian. Niece Dongfang Bingling is also here. May I ask if this is true? Is there any falsehood in my words? Shimin Wuya turned to Dongfang Bingling and asked. Dongfang Bingling floated 10 feet above the sea. Her snow-white dress was blown by the sea breeze, making her slender and graceful body look even more curvaceous. She was extremely attractive, like a fairy from the 9 heavens. Zhu Hongxue was by her side at this moment. The two of them looked like a perfect couple, a match made in heaven. That's right, Dongfang Bingling said coldly. Yang Dingtian sent my father's last words. Shimin Wuya said. Then let me ask you, in the chaotic continent, does a father have the absolute right to betroth his daughter to a man? Dongfang Bingling said coldly, yes. Shimin Wuya asked again. Then let me ask you again, in the Yinyang school, can the sect leader appoint a successor and give the flame ring to someone? Dongfang Bingling said, yes. Shimin Wuya's face showed a trace of anger. He said slowly, then I don't understand, since the flame ring was personally given to Yang Dingtian by sect leader Dongfang Minmi, then why do you keep saying that he stole it? Without waiting for Dongfang Bingling to speak, Shimin Wuya continued coldly, I also don't understand, since Yang Dingtian is your fiancé. It's fine if you don't respect him or love him, but why do you have to go in and out with other men? Where is your chastity? Not only do you have to go in and out with other men, but you also want to kill Yang Dingtian with other men? You are murdering your husband. You should be hacked into pieces and destroyed by heaven and earth. Chapter 23. Dongfang Bingling's delicate body trembled, and her beautiful face suddenly turned pale. She had been treated like a fairy since she was young, and had never been insulted like this. She almost spat out a mouthful of blood. And you, Zhu Hongxue? Shimin Wuya glared at Zhu Hongxue, who was beside Dongfang Bingling, and said, Dongfang Bingling has a fiancé. What are you trying to do by pestering her every day? Not only that, you are the #1 youth expert while Yang Dingtian has only just passed the initiation stage. Yet, you want to kill him? Do you have any ulterior motives? Zhu Hongxue glanced at him coldly, and didn't even bother to explain. Dongfang Bingling took a deep breath and raised her delicate chin. She said coldly, City Lord Shimin is indeed sharp-tongued. Then, I would like to ask a few questions. Please answer. Please. Shimin Wuya said. First question. My father is the #1 expert in the world. Is his cultivation very high? Is his vision very high? Dongfang Bingling asked. Of course. Senior brother Dongfang is the person I respect the most in this world, Shimin Wuya said slowly. Since his vision is very high, why would he choose a mediocre talent like Yang Dingtian, a man in his 20s who has just passed the initiation stage? I have also seen his Xian meridians. They are very mediocre. He is not even qualified to be a servant disciple in my Yinyang school. Why would my father choose him to be the successor of the Yinyang school? Dongfang Bingling said. Before Shimin Wuya could answer, Dongfang Bingling continued to ask, second question. Previously, someone saw that on the way to the Yinyang school, Yang Dingtian was on Cloud Sky City's boat. Furthermore, he interacted with City Lord Shimin all the time and had a close relationship with him. May I ask, is this true? Shimin Wuya nodded and said, Is this true? Dongfang Bingling said, for generations, Cloud Sky City has wanted to take back the rightful position of Yinyang School. Normal methods have failed. Then, could it be possible to use a different method? In the meantime, he had someone bring my father's belongings to the Yinyang School, announcing that my father had accepted him as his disciple, that he would be his successor, and that he would be betrothed to me. And this person happens to be from Cloud Sky City. Then, in 20 or 30 years, the Yinyang School will belong to Cloud Sky City. If this matter is true, then doesn't it mean that Shimin City Lord and my father's death have some connection? Dongfang Bingling coldly said. Shimin Wuya was slightly stunned. He said slowly, Miss Dongfang's tongue is as sharp as a sword. Alright, even if we can pick up the remains of Dongfang Minmi Senior Martial Brother. But what about his last words? His last words were instilled into the flame ornament. As long as it matches your mother's moth ornament, his last words will appear. These last words were formed by your father's blood and celestial qi. How can this be faked? Shimin Wuya said. Dongfang Bingling turned her beautiful face. Her beautiful eyes were cold. She gritted her teeth and said, What father's last words? I have never seen them. I have only heard Yang Dingtian's oral description. Shimin Wuya was stunned. He looked at Dongfang Bingling in disbelief. Then he said slowly, A person who is self-deprecating is invincible. A shameless person is undefeatable. Then Shimin Wuya said to Jiang Songyang, Senior Martial Brother Jiang, At this point, it seems that logic does not make sense. Jiang Songyang said, It doesn't make sense. Otherwise, why would so many of us come? Hand over Yang Dingtian. This is no longer about the flame ring. It concerns the death of our sect leader. We have to interrogate him properly. How did our sect leader die? Who killed him? I understand. Shimin Wuya said slowly. If logic doesn't make sense, then let's fight. Are we really going to fight? Jiang Songyang said. Junior Martial Brother Shimin, what do you think about your cultivation compared to mine? About the same, Shimin Wuya said. Jiang Songyang said, Shimin Wuya, you have made a name for yourself outside. I am unknown in the Yinyang school, but in terms of strength I am definitely not weaker than you. More than 20 years ago, I fought with sect leader Dongfang and won by half a move. Among the masters present, I am the weakest. Junior Martial Brother Wuing is good at killing people. When I fought with him, although I could hurt him, my life was in danger. As for Martial Uncle Ningbusi, he is much stronger than me. As for sect leader Zhu, I can't even compare to him. Shimin Wuya smiled faintly. Jiang Songyang continued, You are at the Master Realm, and I am also at the Master Realm. You think you can't even beat me? Not to mention Martial Uncle Ningbusi and Sect Leader Zhu. I really don't know where you get the confidence to say that you want to fight. Why don't you hand over Yang Dingtian? Shimin Wuya said. Senior Martial Brother Jiang, let's fight and see. If you want to fight, then let's fight. I am the weakest among them, but I am enough for you. Let me fight, Jiang Songyang said. Then he pulled out a huge sword that was 10 feet long from his back. Shimin Wuya took out a thin sword that was less than 2 feet long from his sleeve. He said, Senior Martial Brother Jiang, are you a beginner? Or are you going to kill him? Kill him? Jiang Songyang said. Sure enough, you are going to kill him. Shimin Wuya said. It's good that you are going to kill him. Don't think I don't know that you played a dishonorable role in the death of the previous city lord. Since you are going to kill him, then let's settle the old score. If you want to die, then die. Why are you talking nonsense? Jiang Songyang sneered. Then he wiped the huge sword with his palm. Suddenly blood spurted out and covered the huge sword. Boom! The blood burned fiercely. The huge sword that was 10 feet long and 1.5 feet wide was burning fiercely. It lit up the surrounding sea area clearly. Jiang Songyang raised the huge flaming sword high. The mystic wings on his back suddenly spread out. They were 10 meters long. Bang! Like a meteor, Jiang Songyang suddenly jumped into the air, and then rushed toward Shimin Wuya like lightning. His murderous aura was overwhelming. It was as if he could topple the mountains and overturn the seas. Jiang Songyang, a world-famous powerhouse, was ranked as a grandmaster. Flying above Shimin Wuya's head, Jiang Songyang roared, After today, there will be no more Cloud Sky City in the world. Then he suddenly slashed down with his sword. Endless flames and the huge sword that was 10 feet long slashed toward Shimin Wuya's head like a thunderbolt. It was going to cut him into pieces in an instant. Shimin Wuya raised the thin sword that was less than 2.5 feet long. He faced Jiang Songyang's shocking attack and slanted the sword. Swoosh! The sword slashed. Shimin Wuya's thin sword turned into a 100-meter-long blue light rainbow. Like a bolt of lightning, it slashed across the dark sky. Hiss! Like a knife cutting through tofu, Jiang Songyang's powerful giant sword was cut in two. Jiang Songyang's body was cut in two. Blood spurted wildly. Jiang Songyang fell into the sea, dead without a complete corpse. Everyone was shocked and speechless. They were completely stunned by the scene in front of them. Shimin Wuya's name had been very famous in the past few years, but everyone thought that he was at most at the same level as Jiang Songyang. They didn't expect that Jiang Songyang would be killed in one move and cut in two. At the same time, they didn't expect that Shimin Wuya would be so ruthless when he was talking reason just now, as if he was unwilling to fight. Who's next? Shimin Wuya asked. Then, he gently swung the thin sword in his hand. The sword returned to its original size. At this time it looked like a hidden sword. Yinyang School's Wu Ying greets City Lord Shimin. A figure walked out of the darkness. This person was of average height and had a slender and soft body. Although he was a man, his face was delicate just like a woman's. Although he looked like a woman, this man made the whole world tremble in fear. As the adjudicator of Yinyang School, his only mission was to kill. No matter how high the opponent's cultivation was, no matter how high the opponent's status was, as long as there was an order from above, he would take the opponent's life even if he had to travel thousands of miles. Wu Ying was 45 years old this year. He had been an adjudicator for 15 years and had never failed. As a student of Yinyang School, he had neither ice nor fire Xian veins, but wind Xian veins. Some people said that in terms of martial arts level, he wasn't the highest. In terms of Xian Qi level, he wasn't the highest. And among the masters in the world, he was almost the only one who didn't know Xian skills. He only knew martial arts. He only relied on the thin sword in his hand. But among all the masters in the world, his speed was the fastest. Whether it was the speed of his attack or the speed of his sword. He firmly believed that in the world of martial arts, only speed was invincible. It was precisely because of his speed that no one could defend against. Hence he had a terrifying nickname, the Phantom Ghost King. He never failed to kill anyone he wanted to kill, no matter how strong the opponent was. He was not a grandmaster, but 2 grandmasters had died in his hands. Only the strongest person could be an adjudicator. Wu Ying was only a student of Yinyang School in name. His martial arts weren't learned in Yinyang School. The reason why he was an adjudicator of Yinyang School was that Dongfang Minmi had saved his life. Junior brother Wu Ying, please wait, Shimin Wuya said. Then he lifted his body and floated up. He left the ship of Cloud Sky City and floated above the sea. Shimin Wuya slowly closed his eyes and said, Junior brother Wu Ying, I'm ready. You can make your move. Shimin Wuya actually closed his eyes and fought with Wu Ying. Of course he wasn't looking down on him. It was because Wu Ying was too fast. Using one's eyes to search for him was too slow. One needed to use one's senses. Whoosh! As expected, Wu Ying suddenly disappeared into the night sky, disappearing from everyone's sight. Then, a gust of wind mixed with the sea breeze circled around Shimin Wuya's body. If one opened their eyes, they would discover that Wu Ying seemed to be completely invisible. However, he knew that Wu Ying was right beside him, ready to stab him with his sword at any time. Every time Wu Ying killed someone, he would only stab once and never miss. Even those who were at a higher level than him had died under his sword. Shimin Wuya still had his eyes closed and his body motionless. The wind was still circling around him. Suddenly, a dazzling light lit up. A thin sword like a meteor lit up in the night sky and stabbed toward Shimin Wuya's chest. It was a very ordinary angle and position, but it was so fast that it was impossible to defend against it. In an instant, the fight between the two sides had ended. It was as fast as lightning. The result of Shimin Wuya's fight against the King of Assassins was out. Ding ding ding. Chapter 24. Ding ding ding. The sharp sword that was going for Shimin Wuya's chest broke into pieces. It didn't hit Shimin Wuya's chest, but his thin sword. This was a shocking judgment. He knew where Shadowless was going to stab and raised his sword to block. If he had waited until Shadowless had attacked, it would have been too late. His opponent was the fastest. After Shadowless' sword broke, the two stood there quietly without moving. The Yinyang School was shocked again. The Yinyang School's adjudicator, Shadowless, was the king of killing in this world. Even if it was an expert 2 levels higher than him, he could still kill him. But now he was defeated by Shimin Wuya. Perhaps this was the only time he had failed in his life. The Phantom Ghost's wind is indeed unparalleled. One move to defeat the enemy, and you never miss. Shimin Wuya opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Then he pulled out a thin sword from his left chest. It was a thin sword that looked almost invisible. Shadowless said, People only see me using my left hand and think that I'm left-handed. Actually, my right hand is faster. It's just that I haven't had the chance to use it in my life. I only have the chance to use it when I'm up against City Lord Shimin. Everyone was shocked again. No one had ever seen Shadowless use his right hand. They all thought that he was left-handed. No one would have thought that he just didn't need to use his right hand. But today, when I used my right hand, my title as the Phantom Ghost King was half destroyed. Shadowless sighed and then bowed to Shimin Wuya. Thank you for showing mercy, City Lord Shimin. Otherwise, I would have been smashed into pieces. Bang bang bang. Then, more than 10 bursts of energy exploded in Shadowless's body. His soft body became a bloody mess. Blood spurted out from his 7 orifices like arrows. Shimin Wuya threw the blood sword back to Shadowless and said, Junior brother Shadowless showed mercy too. Otherwise, I would have lost half my life. There are not many people that I, Shimin Wuya, respect in my life. The first is Dongfang Minmi. Your junior martial brother Wu Ying is also one of them. You're practically the only martial artist I've ever seen who focuses on martial skills. If you were to practice profound skills, you would also be one of the great grandmasters in the world. Shadowless took his sword and wiped it gently. I have loved my sword my entire life. I am the sword and the sword is me. If I were to learn mystical skills, it would be betraying myself. Since Sect Master Dongfang Minmi is no longer in this world, then there's no need for me to stay at Yinyang School. From now on, there's no Yinyang School anymore. With that, Shadowless disappeared into the night sky. The Yinyang sect's side instantly fell silent. Looking at the direction where Shadowless disappeared, Shimin Wuya gently wiped the bloodstain on his chest and slowly said, Who else is coming? Suddenly, an old man slowly walked out. He appeared out of thin air in front of Shimin Wuya. as if he had walked out of an illusion. This old man held a dragon-headed walking stick in his hand. He was hunched over, his hair and beard were all white, and his face was wrinkled. He looked extremely old and seemed to be more than 100 years old. He was one of the grand elders of Inyang School, Ningbusi. He was 105 years old this year. Shimin Wuya. I'm older than you by a generation. I also watched Sect Master Dongfang grow up. Ningbusi coughed a few times and said, I've heard about how powerful Shimin Wuya of Yunshao City was when I was on the mountain. Now that I've seen him, he is indeed powerful. Martial uncle, you flatter me. Shimin Wuya bowed respectfully. Don't be humble. You keep saying that you're not as good as Dongfang Minmi, but from what I see, you're not much worse than him. Ningbusi said, since Sect Master Dongfang is no longer here, it would be perfect for you to be the Inyang School's headmaster. You could at least guarantee that the Inyang School will remain undefeated for the next 50 years. As soon as he said this, the expressions of Dongfang Bingling and the others immediately changed. Unfortunately, I don't have the final say in the Inyang School, and you, Yunshao City, are still traitors. Ningbusi said, you're too powerful. For the future of the Inyang School, I can only do my best. Shimin Wuya, don't blame me. I wouldn't dare, Shimin Wuya said. However, I'm still your senior, so I'll only use one Xian technique. If you don't die, then I won't care about what happens tonight, Ningbusi said. Yes, Master, Shimin Wuya said. Ningbusi had become a grandmaster at least a dozen years ago. He was Dongfang Minmi's martial uncle. He was truly one of the most powerful people in the world. Like a mountain, he guarded the Inyang School. In the past dozen years when Dongfang Minmi wasn't here, even if only Ningbusi was here, no one dared to offend the Inyang School. Ningbusi slowly raised the dragon-headed cane in his hand, and a blue flame appeared. Boom boom. There was a sudden clap of thunder in the sky, and thick lightning struck the surface of the sea. A dragon roared, and a shadow of a fire dragon drilled out of Ningbusi's dragon-headed cane. It grew bigger and bigger, and finally became a giant fire dragon that was dozens of meters long. It circled in the sky, roared, and spat out balls of fire. Huge waves that were dozens of meters high suddenly rose on the surface of the sea. It was like a giant fire dragon, full of mania and uneasiness. Shimin Wuya sucked in a breath of cold air, and looked at the giant fire dragon that was circling in the sky. Of course he knew what it was. It was a level 9 Xian beast, the legendary flaming devil dragon. Elder Ningbusi had actually taken it as his martial soul. In the whole world, there was no one like Wu Ying who only practiced swordsmanship and martial arts. All warriors focused on practicing Xian techniques because the lethality of dazzling techniques was too shocking, and they could be used for long-range attacks. And when Xian techniques were combined with martial souls, the effect of the attack was almost destructive. Immortal Dragon Formula! Elder Ningbusi roared, and his whole body suddenly burned. The fire dragon that was circling in the sky instantly turned into countless flames and drilled into Ningbusi's body. The originally thin and stooped Elder Ningbusi's body suddenly swelled, and finally became a human-shaped flame that was dozens of meters tall. Countless small flaming dragons danced around his body. Star Universe Sword Formula! Shimin Wuya roared, and the sword in his hand flew into the air and suddenly brightened. The sword became brighter and brighter, crazily devouring all the Xian qi on the surface of the sea. Finally, the sword light shone like stars, clearly visible from hundreds of miles away. The thin sword that was less than 2.5 feet now became a giant light sword that was dozens of meters long. Split! The giant light sword in the air suddenly split into countless small light swords that flew toward Shimin Wuya like shooting stars. Hundreds of thousands of light swords circled around Shimin Wuya's body, and they were extremely dazzling. Every sword of light was filled with soul and consciousness. Sword soul? It's actually a sword soul? There's actually someone in the world who has cultivated a sword soul. The people of Inyang School couldn't believe it. A sword soul was a martial artist who didn't take any Xian beasts as his martial soul. Instead, he cultivated his own sword and made it his martial soul. This kind of martial soul was 10 times or even 100 times more difficult than taking a Xian beast as a martial soul. But once it was successful, its power would be extremely shocking. Because in the process of cultivating a sword soul, one had to devour countless Xian beast martial souls, So a sword soul could be called the king of martial souls. The king of martial souls, the emperor of martial souls, was a sword soul. In this world, there were no more than 3 people who had cultivated a sword soul. How good would it be if you were a disciple of Inyang's school? Ning Busi muttered to himself. However, as the lord of Cloud Sky City, the stronger you are, the more danger my Inyang school will be in. We can't let Cloud Sky City become the orthodox school, and my Inyang school become a rebel. Elder Ning Busi's gaze suddenly became resolute. Prison-rending dragon formula, go. Elder Ning Busi roared and pointed the dragon head staff in his hand. Suddenly, thousands of fire dragons flew out from Elder Ning Busi's body and shot toward Shiman Wuya. 10,000 swords returned to sect, go. Shiman Wuya roared and pointed the sharp sword in his hand. Instantly, the swords of light and shadow that surrounded his body shot out. Bang 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 bang, countless fire dragons and light swords collided. It was as if thunder and lightning had struck, bursting forth with countless rays of light. It was as if 10,000 lightning bolts had struck the sky. The entire night sky above the sea was as bright as day. Fire dragons flew out from Ning Busi's body endlessly, causing the number of fire dragons flying around him to decrease. The light swords flew out from Shiman Wuya's body endlessly, causing the number of light swords flying around him to decrease. The fire dragons and light swords flying around him could not only be used to attack, but they could also be used as an energy shield to block the enemy's Xian technique attacks. Therefore, Ning Busi and Shiman Wuya's defense and offense were one. If they wanted to increase their offensive power, their defensive power would inevitably weaken. Bang 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 bang. The violent explosion and the powerful heat boiled the seawater underground and tore a few large ships not far away into pieces. Rumble. With a final loud sound, a piercing light burst forth like the sun, completely tearing apart the night sky for hundreds of miles, causing the entire night sky to be as bright as day. Tens of thousands of light swords and thousands of fire dragons perished together in the air, turning into ashes. There was only a 1-meter-long fire dragon circling around Ning Busi's body. There was only a 2.5-foot-long light sword circling around Shiman Wuya's body. Both of their eyes revealed their determination at the same time. Go! They shouted in unison. The last of the sharp swords suddenly shot out. The last fire dragon shot out. Whistling through the air, the 2 light shadows passed by each other. Puff! The fire dragon slammed into Shiman Wuya's chest. Puff! The light sword pierced into Ning Busi's chest. Crack crack crack! There was the sound of his sternum breaking. Ning Busi spat out a mouthful of blood. Shiman Wuya's body suddenly retreated more than 10 meters, and a blood sword shot out from the air. Did Cloud Sky City's 100 years of decline just to produce a talent like you? Ning Busi covered his chest, coughing and spitting out blood. He slowly said, "You alone have taken all the essence of Cloud Sky City for 100 years. But you are still a gentleman. If you had used Xian techniques, even if there were 10 shadowless, they would have died." Ning Busi said, "His swordsmanship is suitable for stealth and assassination, but it is not suitable for martial arts. Okay, I am a man of my words. You took one of my Xian techniques and didn't die. Instead, you defeated me by half a move. I will not care about what happens here. I will go back to Inyang school and cultivate in seclusion." After saying this, Elder Ning Busi disappeared into the darkness again. Shiman Wuya wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said indifferently, "Who's next?" Everyone present was silent. Everyone said that Shiman Wuya was a great master, but Inyang school always looked down on him. They always felt that people were frogs in a well. Today they finally saw Shiman Wuya's power. How was he just a great master? He was at the peak of the world. Jiang Songyang could be considered someone who had 1 foot in the master realm, and Ning Busi was definitely a strong person among the masters. But they had all lost to Shiman Wuya. "City Lord Shiman, please advise me." An ordinary and gentle voice came from the darkness. Shiman Wuya's expression changed. "Zhu Qingzhu, are you going to make a move? You are the leader of Xian Tian sect. Are you going to intervene in today's matter?" Chapter 25. City Lord Shiman, you're the overlord of the world. Why would you be afraid of me? Zhu Qingzhu said calmly. He was still hiding in the darkness. That's right. I'm a little afraid of you, Shimin Wuya said. Dongfang Minmi is the strongest in the world. I'm not afraid of you, but I'm a little afraid of you. I'm honored. Zhu Qingzhu smiled. It's not just me. Senior brother Dongfang Minmi said the same thing, Shimin Wuya said. Shimin Wuya said. He said that in this world Zhu Qingzhu is the most unfathomable person. He is completely unfathomable. He said that the world's rankings are the most deceptive. If you believe in these rankings, you won't even know how you died. You flatter me, sect leader Dongfang, Zhu Qingzhu said calmly. However, sect leader Zhu, aren't you from the Yinyang school? Are you going to interfere with the Yinyang school's business? Shimin Wuya asked. After senior brother Dongfang passed away, only a widow and an orphan were left. Bingling might marry my son in the future. If something happens to her, I can't just stand by and do nothing. Zhu Qingzhu said, besides, Yang Dingtian cursed me to destroy the entire Black Heaven sect. I can't just ignore him. How about this? You take my palm and I'll leave after that, Zhu Qingzhu said. I won't use any mystic skills or techniques. Just a simple palm. What do you think? Alright, I'll do as you say, Shimin Wuya said. However, Zhu Qingzhu said again, you've already fought 3 people in a row. It's not fair to fight with me. Take my palm with a big ship between us. With a big ship between them, Shimin Wuya's energy would be weakened a lot. After that, Zhu Qingzhu swung his sleeves in the darkness. Whoosh! Suddenly, a huge wooden ship that was dozens of meters long and dozens of meters thick silently flew into the air and drifted between Shimin Wuya and Zhu Qingzhu. Everyone was shocked, speechless. Brother Shimin, please do your best, Zhu Qingzhu said. Of course, Shimin Wuya said. Then he shook his hands in his sleeves, and his robe swelled up. He knew that the most dangerous moment of his life had come. The most dangerous battle of his life had come. Although the first 3 battles were shocking, they weren't the most dangerous. Although Jiang Songyang was one of the strongest people in the world, almost at the guru level, and seemed to be as famous as Shimin Wuya, their cultivation was far from each other. Shadowless was invincible in terms of swordsmanship and speed. But in his heart he didn't want to kill Shimin Wuya. Moreover, the difference between their cultivations wasn't that big. Ningbusi, the Grand Supreme Elder of the Yinyang school, was one of the top experts in the world. He had become a grandmaster more than 10 years ago, and possessed the legendary martial soul, the blazing devil dragon. However, in terms of cultivation, Shimin Wuya was confident that he was not inferior to Ningbusi, who was more than 100 years old. In terms of martial spirits, the sword spirit that he had painstakingly cultivated was not afraid of any martial spirits in the world. But this Zhu Qingzhu, whose shadow could not even be seen, was like a deep abyss in the sea. It was impossible to see him clearly. Thus, at this moment it was already the most fatal and most dangerous moment. After getting past Zhu Qingzhu, the danger tonight would be over. After Zhu Qingzhu, the other party would no longer have any peerless evolved Jing masters. Therefore, Shimin Wuya was going to use all of his strength in this seemingly ordinary palm strike. He opened all of his pores. Every part of his body was crazily absorbing the Xian Qi in the world. Xian Qi filled every inch of his meridians and every corner of his sea of Qi. Condense, condense, condense. Endless Xian Qi condensed from every inch of his body into his sea of Qi. His sea of Qi swelled bigger and bigger. This was extremely dangerous. Shimin Wuya would never do this because it could cause his sea of Qi to explode. But this was the most dangerous moment. He was facing the most powerful, dangerous and unpredictable enemy in the world. He had to risk his life and condense his Xian Qi to 120%. Brother Shimin, if you're ready, you can make the first move, Zhu Qingzhu said calmly. Xian Qi condensed crazily until it reached its limit. Shimin Wuya's skin was already trembling. His blood vessels split open and blood flowed out. Right now, the final battle. Shimin Wuya fiercely struck out with his palm, and an incomparably powerful energy shot out. Suddenly the entire world fell silent. The light of the flames was instantly swallowed, and the entire sea was plunged into darkness. In the darkness, Zhu Qingzhu struck out with his palm. The 2 forces of energy collided in the air. Up! The 100-meter-long ship floating in the middle was instantly pulverized and turned into ashes silently. At the same time, the other 3 ships within 100 meters were also pulverized silently. Then Shimin Wuya's body shook violently as if he was hit by an invisible wall of air. His body caved in. However, he did not take a step back, nor did he spit out a mouthful of blood. In the darkness, Zhu Qingzhu sighed and said slowly, Shimin Wuya, the most powerful person in the world. I'm really curious. If sect leader Dongfang was still here, who would be stronger and who would be weaker? Farewell. After Zhu Qingzhu finished speaking, he went completely silent. It was as if he had never appeared. However, Shimin Wuya still realized that after Zhu Qingzhu left, the place he was in was not completely dark. Instead, it regained some light. When Zhu Qingzhu was here, it was as if he had swallowed all the light in the surroundings. Everywhere he went, there was only darkness. Shimin Wuya said slowly, now there should be no one stopping me, right? No one replied. Then I'll take my leave. I'll take Yang Dingtian with me, Shimin Wuya said. Then Shimin Wuya was about to leave. Wait, Dongfang Bingling suddenly said. Shimin Wuya said, who else wants to stop me? Me, Dongfang Bingling said. You? Shimin Wuya shook his head. When I was your age, your father and I were not as good as you. Your talent is rare in the world, but now you are still not my match. How do you know if you don't try? Dongfang Bingling said coldly, the flame ring is mine. Yang Dingtian must stay. No, you are too young. I can't hurt you, Shimin Wuya said. You can't hurt me either, Dongfang Bingling said coldly. Then she raised her sword and shouted, Yin Yang formation, come out. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Suddenly more than a dozen figures flew out of the sea like shooting stars. They formed a circle in the air and spun quickly. This was a Tai Chi formation that was dozens of meters wide. Half of it was red flames and the other half was blue ice. However, 2 points in the middle were missing. Senior brother Shuego, Dongfang Bingling said. Immediately, Dongfang Bingling and Zhu Hongxue flew to the two sides of the Tai Chi formation. Dongfang Bingling's body was ice blue, and Zhu Hongxue's body was blood red. Now, the 2 points in the middle of the yin-yang formation were there. Dongfang Bingling, Zhu Hongxue, and more than a dozen elders of the yin-yang school formed a complete yin-yang formation. The entire Tai Chi formation spun quickly, surrounding Zhu Hongxue and Dongfang Bingling. The two of them floated motionlessly in the air. Shimin Wuya was stunned. He said slowly, I didn't expect that the most dangerous one would be you, Dongfang Bingling. It seems that you won't let me leave alive today, Shimin Wuya said slowly. Hand over Yang Dingtian and you won't die, Dongfang Bingling said. The ring of flames is mine. I must have it. Martial Uncle Shimin, your palm strike with Martial Uncle Zhu just now has exhausted all of your Xian Qi. It has also exhausted the capacity of your meridians and energy C. What you should do now is to sit down and regulate your breathing. Perhaps you can recover to your peak in half a year or a year. Dongfang Bingling said, otherwise your life will be in danger. As long as you hand over Yang Dingtian, I will let you leave immediately. Shimin Wuya smiled. If I still need you to spare my life, then I'd rather die. City Lord Shimin, you don't have any Xian Qi left. How can you resist the two swords of my yin-yang formation? Just one sword strike can turn you into ashes, Dongfang Bingling said. Not necessarily. Shimin Wuya said coldly. Come at me. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish, Dongfang Bingling said coldly. Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Just kill him, Zhu Hongxue said indifferently. The first sword of the yin-yang formation soul destruction. Following Dongfang Bingling's command, the entire yin-yang formation suddenly emitted a dazzling light. The Xian Qi of more than 10 yin-yang school elders in the formation condensed towards the 2 points in the middle. They condensed towards Dongfang Bingling and Zhu Hongxue's swords. The swords in the hands of the man and woman became brighter and brighter. In the end they were like stars in the sky. Dual sword combination. Then the two swords merged into a huge sword that was hundreds of meters long. Dongfang Bingling raised it high and slashed it down towards Shimin Wuya. Martial Uncle Shimin, you forced me to do this. Don't blame me for being merciless. Following Dongfang Bingling's sorrowful cry, the huge sword slammed down. In an instant the entire sea was turned upside down. Bloodthirsty technique. Shimin Wuya roared and spat out a cloud of blood. Boom! The blood mist met the sword blade and immediately burned. The thin sword in Shimin Wuya's hand suddenly turned into a huge flaming sword that was hundreds of meters long. He slashed it towards Dongfang Bingling's huge sword. Bang! There was a thunderous sound. It was like the light of a nuclear bomb explosion. The dark sea suddenly turned white. Boom! The two forces of energy exploded. A huge wave that was hundreds of meters high rose on the sea. It was like a huge wall that rolled towards the east. All the ships brought by the Inyang school were smashed into pieces. Shimin Wuya's body flew back dozens of meters. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Everyone in Dongfang Bingling's Inyang formation was spitting out blood, as if they had been struck by lightning. Only Dongfang Bingling had a faint trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Zhu Hongshua's face was a little pale, but there was no trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. City Lord Shimin, you are indeed unfathomable. You even know the legendary bloodthirsty technique. Dongfang Bingling said coldly, however. I know that this bloodthirsty technique transforms one's entire body's essence blood into Xian Qi. Using it once will cause one to lose half of one's life. In the past 100 years, no one has dared to use the bloodthirsty technique twice. I would like to see how City Lord Shimin is going to deal with my second dual sword combination. Chapter 26. You can give it a try, Shimin Wuya said slowly. Shimin Wuya said slowly, I also want to see how many of your Inyang sect's elders will survive after the second sword strike. No matter the price, I'll accept it. Dongfang Bingling said coldly, I've never regretted what I've done. I've never looked back. Inyang formation second sword 10,000 bloodthirsty. Under Dongfang Bingling's command, the celestial qi of more than 10 people in the Inyang formation once again gathered towards Zhu Hongxue and Dongfang Bingling. Once again, the two swords combined to form a blood-red giant sword that was hundreds of meters long. This giant sword was longer, thicker, and more powerful than the first time. From tonight onwards, there will be no more Shimin Wuya and no more Cloud Sky City. Dongfang Bingling raised the giant sword and shouted. She was about to slash it down. Wait! Suddenly, a weak voice sounded from 1,000 meters away. Then, the cabin door of Cloud Sky City's ship opened and a figure staggered out. It was Yang Dingtian. After he took the pill, he had completely fainted. But in the depths of his mind, he desperately told himself to wake up. He had to wake up. Uncle Master Shimin had reached the most dangerous moment. After exhausting all of his willpower, he actually woke up. Yang Dingtian, go back. Shimin Wuya shouted when he saw him come out. No, Uncle Master Shimin, Yang Dingtian said. Master sacrificed himself for my freedom and to help me. I swear, I will never let anyone close to me die for me again. Never. Dongfang Bingling. Yang Dingtian shouted at Dongfang Bingling, who was in the air. Yang Dingtian, you're only pleading now? It's too late. The arrow is already on the bow. It has to be released. Dongfang Bingling said coldly, if you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? It's useless to regret. If it weren't for your wishful thinking, you would already be a disciple of Inyang's school. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath of damp air and said coldly, I, Yang Dingtian, have never known what regret is. I'm here to negotiate with you. Yang Dingtian raised his right ring finger and said, you want the flame ring, don't you? It was mine to begin with. Dongfang Bingling said, I am the most suitable person to be the head of the Inyang school. Who said that a woman can't be the head of the Inyang school? But Master gave him to me. Don't say that I picked him up. You know that Master gave him to me personally. Yang Dingtian said. That's because my father was muddle-headed and muddle-headed. That's why he gave the flame ring to a mediocre item like you. Dongfang Bingling said. Yang Dingtian, if you still treat me as your martial uncle, then get in. Shimin Wuya said loudly, trust me, I'll definitely protect you tonight. Martial Uncle Shimin, don't talk nonsense. You'll definitely die with the second strike. Dongfang Bingling said, it's as easy as pie for me to kill you now. Why don't you give it a try? Shimin Wuya sneered and said, let's see how many people will die with me. Let's see if the sea will be completely dyed red. You're really courting death. Dongfang Bingling said coldly and was about to slash down with her sword. Dongfang Bingling, do you dare to fight with me? Yang Dingtian suddenly shouted, blocking Dongfang Bingling's movement. Then he said to Shimin Wuya, "Martial uncle, trust me this time. Trust me this time. Don't sacrifice yourself for me. Trust me this time. Leave the rest to me." Then Yang Dingtian said, "Dongfang Bingling, don't you want to take back the flame ring? Don't you want to prove that your master was muddle-headed and didn't give you the flame ring? 5 years later, let's fight. If I win, I want to take back everything that belongs to me, including my dignity. If I lose, I'll kneel in front of you and admit my mistake. Then I'll be cut into pieces. Will I kneel and give you the flame ring? What do you think?" Yang Dingtian shouted, "5 years later, do you dare to fight? 5 years? You?" Dongfang Bingling said disdainfully, "Yang Dingtian, do you know what level you are now? Do you know what level I am? Do you know how big the gap between you and me is?" "I don't know, but it should be very big," Yang Dingtian said. "The difference is like heaven and earth. I'm like the stars in the sky, and you're like an ant on the ground. Even if thousands of years pass, you'll never be able to reach my level." Dongfang Bingling said proudly, "My talent is rarely seen in hundreds of years, but it took me more than 10 years to reach my current level. Do you know that when my father was at my age, he was far inferior to me? In less than 15 years, I'll surpass my father's level and become the most powerful headmaster of the Yinyang school in 100 years. In another 30 or 40 years, I'll even be able to challenge the martial saint realm that no one has succeeded in hundreds of years. In that case, then what are you worried about 5 years later?" Yang Dingtian said, "5 years later, you and I will fight. That way, taking back the flame ring will be more justified. Even if the mountains collapse, even if the sun rises in the west and sets in the east, even if the river flows backward, even if the sea dries up, you won't be my opponent in 5 years, Dongfang Bingling said coldly. "But I'm sorry, I still refuse." "Why?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Why should I accept the challenge of an ant? If I had to accept the challenge of any Tom, Dick, or Harry, then I wouldn't be able to do anything in my life. Not everyone has the right to challenge me," Dongfang Bingling said disdainfully and arrogantly. "So I'll end everything tonight. I'll end Shimin Wuya, end Cloud Heaven City, and end you, Yang Dingtian." Dongfang Bingling's tone was filled with determination, and the murderous aura of the giant sword in her hand grew stronger. "Ha ha, ha ha." Shimin Wuya laughed maniacally. "I didn't expect that Dongfang Minmi would have such an ambitious daughter. Come, Dongfang Bingling. Let's see how you'll end everything." Shimin Wuya laughed. "Die." Dongfang Bingling's expression was indifferent. She said coldly and suddenly slashed down with her sword. Whoosh! Suddenly a figure appeared under her giant sword. It was an incomparably delicate and beautiful figure. It was Dongfang Bingling's mother, Yang Dingtian's master's wife. She was still so beautiful, as if she had walked out of a dream, as if she had walked out of a painting. Her eyes were like water, tender and beautiful like a flower. She was absolutely beautiful. Her red dress accentuated her devilish figure, giving off a magical charm. "Dongfang Bingling, you have to agree with Yang Dingtian." The master's wife took out a dagger and placed it against her tender neck. "You have to agree with him, or else you can kill me as well." Dongfang Bingling hurriedly stopped the giant sword. The tears that she had been holding back for a long time finally flowed out. "Mother, are you forcing me to my death? Could it be that in your eyes, I'm not as good as Yang Dingtian, an outsider?" "He's not an outsider. He's your future husband and your father's disciple," the master's wife said. "Agree to his 5-year promise. Otherwise, I'll die in front of you. I'm useless as a mother. I'm not as strong as you. I can't stop you from killing people, but I can still kill myself," the master's wife said slowly. Her gentle gaze was filled with infinite willpower. Yang Dingtian stood up and was about to shout, but his master's wife stopped him. "Yang Dingtian, don't say anything. It's your master's wife who has let you down. It's your master's wife's fault for not having the ability to make you two enemies. Follow Uncle Shimin to Cloud Sky City. After 5 years you can go to Yinyang School. I believe in you. I believe in your master's vision. After 5 years you'll definitely be able to take back what belongs to you," the master's wife said. "What? Dongfang Bingling, do you really want to watch me die in front of you?" the master's wife asked. Shimin Wuya looked at Madame Dongfang with a complicated gaze. He sighed and said, "Junior sister, you don't have to do this. I can really protect Yangding Tian. For the sake of you and senior brother Dongfang, I won't kill Dongfang Bingling. But you'll die, Madame Dongfang said. I can't watch my daughter commit an unforgivable mistake. I can't let the two children become enemies. Then Madame Dongfang pressed the dagger lightly. Instantly blood flowed out. Then her beautiful eyes stared at Dongfang Bingling. Okay, I promise you, mother. Dongfang Bingling said. Right now, I'm really doubting whether I'm really your biological daughter. Dongfang Bingling bit her lips until they bled. Her beautiful eyes stared at Yangding Tian, shooting out endless hatred. Her voice was even colder than the ice cave under the 1,000-mile glacier. Yangding Tian, remember the 5-year promise. 5 years later, I'll tear you into pieces. 5 years later, I'll make Cloud Sky City disappear from this world. Yangding Tian looked at Dongfang Bingling and said word by word, 5 years later, I'll use my own strength to take back everything that belongs to me, including my dignity and today's humiliation. The master's wife said to Shimin Wuya, let's go, senior brother Shimin. Bring Yangding Tian to Cloud Sky City and nurture him well. I'm officially entrusting him to you. Shimin Wuya bowed and said, I won't let you down. Junior sister, I'll take my leave. Then, Shimin Wuya's body floated up and landed on Cloud Sky City's boat. He carried Yangding Tian and walked directly into the cabin. Yangding Tian shouted at the master's wife, 5 years later, I'll go to Inyang School to see you. If you're willing, I'll raise you and take care of you for the rest of your life. The master's wife smiled gently. The entire sea was as beautiful as a blooming flower. Okay, I'll wait, the master's wife said slowly. Finally, Yangding Tian used all his strength to shout at Dongfang Bingling. Dongfang Bingling, 5 years later, see you at Inyang School. 5 years later, I'll take back everything that belongs to me. The ship continued to sail in the direction of Cloud Sky City. In one of the cabins there were only Yangding Tian, Shimin Wuya and Shimin Yinyan. Shimin Wuya sat on the couch. He was still as handsome as ever. It was as if there wasn't a trace of weakness or injury on him. His handsome face was even burning with a strange light. Shimin Yinyan stood by Yangding Tian's side. Although she looked a little haggard, her delicate face was still as beautiful as ever. Both of their faces were filled with concern and uneasiness. There's really not much time left, Shimin Wuya said slowly. Yinyan, Ding Tian, kneel down. Shimin Yinyan didn't understand, but she still knelt down. Yangding Tian's expression changed slightly, and he also knelt down. Yangding Tian, I betroth Shimin Yinyan to you. Will you love her forever, protect her forever, and take care of her forever? Shimin Wuya looked at Yangding Tian and said slowly. Chapter 27. Wu Shimin Yinyan suddenly exclaimed, Father. Yangding Tian also said anxiously, Uncle, didn't we agree before? You won't force Yinyan to marry me. Shimin Wuya ignored the two of them. He still stared at Yangding Tian and said slowly, Yangding Tian, I betroth Shimin Yinyan to you as your wife. Will you love her for the rest of your life, protect her for the rest of your life, and take care of her for the rest of your life? He stared at Yangding Tian. There were countless meanings in his eyes, but there was only one meaning. Yangding Tian felt sad and said, You will be fine. You don't have to do this. Answer me, Yangding Tian, Shimin Wuya said word by word. Yes, uncle, Yangding Tian said. I will take care of Yinyan for the rest of my life. I will protect her for the rest of my life. Shimin Wuya looked at his daughter and said word by word, Shimin Yinyan, I betroth you to Yangding Tian. Are you willing to love him for the rest of your life, treat him as your sky and earth, give birth to children for him, and do laundry and cook for him? Father. Shimin Yinyan cried, Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Shimin Yinyan. Do you also want to disobey your father like Dongfang Bingling? Shimin Wuya said sternly. I don't dare, Shimin Yinyan said. Shimin Wuya said, Then tell me, are you willing to marry Yangding Tian? Are you willing to love him for the rest of your life, treat him as your sky and earth, give birth to children for him, and do laundry and cook for him? Shimin Yinyan suddenly cried and fell to the ground. She sobbed and said, I'm willing. I'm willing to do anything as long as you get better. Don't scare me. Shimin Wuya said with a solemn expression, Good. Then you two will get married today. Do the ceremony here. Martial uncle. Yang Dingtian hurriedly said, let's talk about it when we return to Cloud Sky City. Right here, Shimin Wuya said without hesitation. Are you going to disobey me? I don't dare. We wouldn't dare. Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yinyan lowered their heads. Well, all of you stand up now. Shimin Wuya said. Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yinyan stood up. Face the east and bow to the heavens and earth. Shimin Wuya said. The two of them knelt to the east and kowtowed. Dingtian, where are your parents? Shimin Wuya asked. He's no longer in this world, Yang Dingtian said. Then I will take your place, Shimin Wuya said. Kneel down in front of me and pay your respects to your parents. Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yinyan both knelt in the direction of Shimin Wuya and kowtowed. Husband and wife kowtow to each other. Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yinyan both knelt down in front of each other and kowtowed. Then they stood up. Shimin Yinyan's beautiful eyes were filled with tears, but at the same time, a trace of shyness flashed across them. Come here. Shimin Wuya waved his hand. Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yinyan walked forward. Shimin Wuya held each of their hands and looked at Yinyan with a tender and loving expression. Good child, although your cultivation is much lower than Dongfang Bingling's and your fame is not as great as hers, you have always been the apple of my eye. But you've always been the apple of Father's eye. You've always been Father's treasure. No matter how strong or weak your cultivation is, you've always been Father's pride. I have always been reluctant to scold you since you were young. I can't bear to see you suffer. When I think of you getting married when you grow up, I feel both excited and sad. I didn't think that this day would come so quickly. I haven't cherished my daughter enough and she is about to get married. I really can't bear to see her go. Shimin Wuya sighed. He stared at his daughter as if he wanted to look at her to his heart's content. Then, Shimin Wuya put on a gentle expression that he had never used before and said, My daughter, from today onwards, you will have a different man to love and dote on you. Don't worry, the husband that I have chosen for you is the best. He will also take care of you and won't bear to let you suffer even a little bit. He won't bear to let you suffer even a little bit of harm. Yang Dingtian, am I right? Shimin Wuya looked at Yang Dingtian. Yes, I will. Yang Dingtian held back his tears and nodded vigorously. Shimin Wuya grabbed Yang Dingtian's hand and said, Child, I won't be able to protect you in the future. You will have to rely on yourself in the future. Remember what you said. I am handing my precious daughter over to you. I am handing Cloud Sky City over to you. I am also handing over my dreams to you. Shimin Wuya's gaze was like a ball of fire. The fire was getting smaller and smaller and dimmer. Then Shimin Wuya suddenly spat out a mouthful of black blood. It shot out over 10 meters and splashed onto the ground, creating a ball of black gas. Then, the pots of flowers in the cabin instantly withered and died. Martial uncle, why did this happen? When the battle ended, weren't you still fine? Yang Dingtian asked. How can I cure you? Tell me. It's useless. Shimin Wuya smiled at Yang Dingtian. Zhu Qingzhu's palm almost destroyed all of my life force. His xian qi contains some kind of energy that can swallow everything. My meridians, my blood, my xian qi, my sea of energy, my entire body. I already overestimated how dangerous he was, but I still didn't expect it. Yinyang School's Grand Elder's shocking xian skill didn't do anything to me. Dongfang Bingling's Yinyang Great Formation didn't take my life. Zhu Qingzhu's gentle palm easily destroyed my life force. Moreover, he didn't even use his full strength. Shimin Wuya's breath became weaker and weaker. Child, remember this. If you don't have absolute confidence, don't fight with Zhu Qingzhu. His xian qi is completely destructive. Even if only a trace of energy enters your body, it will quickly devour your entire body. Your xian qi and blood will become dark energy. 1 will become 2, 2 will become 4, 4 will become 8. Soon, your entire body will be filled with this dark energy. It will devour all of your life force. I can definitely be saved. I can definitely be saved. Tell me. Yang Dingtian said. I can't be saved. This dark energy has already reached my sea of energy and heart. Most of my blood has already turned black, Shimin Wuya said. Shimin Wuya said, do you know what will happen when this dark energy reaches your qi sea and heart? Yang Dingtian shook his head. I will become a bloodthirsty monster. I will completely lose my mind and only know how to kill. I will kill everyone on this ship, Shimin Wuya said. Instantly, Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yanyan were stunned. No, father, you definitely won't. Shimin Yanyan cried. This Xianqi energy is called Soul Devourer. I've only read about it in books. I didn't expect this most evil technique to reappear in the world. Shimin Wuya laughed. I've tried everything to suppress the Soul Devourer energy, but I failed. Look at my eyes, the black pupils are getting bigger and bigger. When the black pupils completely cover my eyes, I will become a bloodthirsty monster. You don't want me to become that kind of monster, right? Shimin Wuya laughed. Remember, don't tell anyone about Soul Devourer. Otherwise you will be killed. Time's up. Shimin Wuya looked at Yang Dingtian and said, Child, I believe you will do well. Protect Yanyan, protect Cloud Sky City. Yang Dingtian, Martial Uncle can't protect you anymore. You will have to rely on yourself in the future. After he finished speaking, Shimin Wuya's palm suddenly slapped his own heart. It was as fast as lightning and couldn't be stopped. Father, don't. Martial Uncle, don't. Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yanyan cried out at the same time. Shimin Wuya spat out the last mouthful of black blood. Then, he lowered his head and closed his eyes silently. Father, don't leave me. Shimin Yanyan was like a cuckoo crying blood. She screamed and fainted. Yang Dingtian couldn't hold it in anymore. Tears poured out and instantly covered his entire face. Godfather. Outside, Shimin Yan rushed in and knelt in front of Shimin Wuya, wailing loudly. Instantly, the people of Cloud Sky City rushed in and looked at Shimin Wuya in disbelief. Then it was as if they were struck by lightning. In their hearts, Shimin Wuya was as strong as a god. He was invincible and immortal. But now, everyone slowly knelt down as if the world had collapsed. Perhaps to them, the world had collapsed because Shimin Wuya was the sky of Cloud Sky City. Shimin Yanyan slowly woke up. Looking at the crying crowd, she shouted, What are you crying for? My father isn't dead. He was just severely injured, so he went into seclusion to heal. This seclusion will take 3 years. After 3 years, my father will wake up. Shimin Yanyan said, so please remember. These 3 years will be the most dangerous and difficult years for Cloud Sky City. We must help each other and strive for self-improvement. What's the point of crying now? My father has protected you for many years. It's time for us to rely on ourselves. Go back to your posts and do what you need to do. Shimin Yanyan said, remember, in the future, announce to the outside world that my father is in seclusion. If anyone speaks of what happened today, their cultivation will be destroyed and they will be expelled. Immediately, everyone stopped crying, and a trace of hope appeared on their faces. Why aren't you leaving? Shimin Yanyan said, what my father needs the most is peace and quiet. Remember to send a level 5 recovery pill every day. Crush it and light it beside my father. This will help his recovery. Once she said this, everyone instantly believed that Shimin Wuya was really in seclusion to heal. Yes, miss. Then everyone bowed and left, each holding their own post. Shimin Yan stayed. After everyone left, he slowly said, Yin, you can fool others, but you can't fool me. My foster father is no longer here. Then, he glared at Yang Dingtian with hatred and said coldly, you are a jinx. It's all because of your foster father that he died. You are a jinx. Chapter 28. Shimin Yan, didn't you hear what I just said? Yanyan Shimin said coldly, my father is not dead. He is just meditating to heal. You better remember this in the future. Also, from today onwards, Yang Dingtian is my husband, the future Cloud Sky City Lord, so you better watch your words, Yanyan Shimin said coldly. What? Yanyan Shimin Yan, what did you say? Shimin Yan said in disbelief. What? Didn't you hear me clearly? Yanyan Shimin Yan said word by word, from today onwards, Yang Dingtian is my husband, and the future Cloud Sky City Lord. He is your master, so you better watch your words. Shimin Yan pointed at Yang Dingtian and said sternly, Yanyan Yan, you want to marry him? Marry a piece of trash like him? Why? This piece of trash who wants to suck up to others wants to marry Dongfang Bingling and become the head of Yinyang School. In the end, he was humiliated and chased down. Now he has his eyes on our Cloud Sky City. You want this piece of trash to become our Cloud Sky City Lord? Dream on. Yin Shiminyan's beautiful face turned cold and said, "This is my father's decision. We just went through the wedding ceremony and are already husband and wife. What is done cannot be undone. Are you going to disobey my father's orders?" Shiminyan's handsome face twitched and he said sternly, "Why? Why? I treated you so well and treated you like a princess. I listened to your every whim. For your Shimin clan I spared no effort and spared no effort. I did so much, but my foster father and you didn't do anything? Now you are actually letting a piece of trash outsider ride on my head and become my new master?" Haha. Shiminyan laughed miserably and said, "This is the biggest mistake in the world. Foster son, foster son? What a nice way to put it. I was really naive. I really thought that I was the son of your Shimin clan. It turns out that I am merely a servant, a servant. City Lord Shimin treated me so poorly, haha. I don't accept this, I don't accept this." Shiminyan's tone changed from grief and indignation to ice. Shiminyan coldly said, "Shiminyan, are you rebelling? Rebel?" Shiminyan sneered. "No, I am only doing this for the fate of Cloud Sky City. Now that the City Lord is dead, as the adopted son of Cloud Sky City's City Lord, I will not allow the lives of thousands of people in Cloud Sky City to be placed in the hands of a useless outsider." Shiminyan's expression changed as she heard a dangerous aura. She asked, "What do you want to do?" "I'm going to look for the brothers outside to reason with them, and see if they can accept a foreign trash riding on their heads." Shiminyan said, "I don't believe that this is the City Lord's order. Maybe someone is faking the Imperial Edict and then throwing this trash into the sea. Anyway, he is a jinx. Leaving him on the ship will bring disaster to the entire Cloud Sky City." "Shiminyan, you dare?" Shiminyan sternly said, "Why wouldn't I dare?" Shiminyan coldly said, "Do you think you can stop me? Do you think you are a match for me? In the past, I deliberately let you win every time we fought. Otherwise, I could deal with you with one hand." After saying that, Shiminyan was about to go out and shout. Shiminyan panicked and immediately pulled out her sword. She coldly said, "Shiminyan, if you take another step forward, don't blame my sword for being merciless." "Is that so?" Shiminyan raised his head and coldly said, "I won't even use a weapon. If I can't beat you down in 10 moves, I am a useless person." Shiminyan was furious and was about to rush forward. Yang Dingtian stepped forward and stood between the two. He looked at Shiminyan and said, "Do you really want to use force in front of Martial Uncle?" "I was forced," Shiminyan said. "I am also doing this for Cloud Sky City. I can't watch Cloud Sky City be destroyed by the two of you. Yin is not a match for you. There is no need to fight," Yang Dingtian said. "You are not convinced and want to make a big deal out of this. You want to destroy me, right?" Shiminyan coldly snorted, neither admitting nor denying it. "Doing this can destroy me, but it won't do you any good." Yang Dingtian said, "Why don't we change the method that will be more beneficial to you? In 2 years we will have a duel. If I lose, I will voluntarily resign from the position of Cloud Sky City's successor, and then elect you as the new Cloud Sky City Lord." Shiminyan's eyes suddenly lit up, but he coldly laughed. "I am ranked in the top 10 of Cloud Sky City's experts. I have cultivated for 20 years to achieve this result. You want to defeat me in 2 years? Dream on. Besides, you don't have the qualifications to become Cloud Sky City's Lord. What qualifications do you have to elect me?" "I don't have the qualifications, but Yin does," Yang Dingtian said. Shiminyan's beautiful eyes became anxious. She wanted to say something, but she closed her mouth and didn't say anything. 2 years? With just you? Shiminyan coldly laughed. "I don't even know what my foster father sees in a piece of trash like you. You want to defeat me in such a short time? Dream on. Isn't that good? That means father-in-law has indeed misjudged me. I don't have the qualifications to become Yin's husband, and I don't have the qualifications to become Cloud Sky City's Lord," Yang Dingtian said. "Why should I believe you?" Shiminyan coldly said. Yang Dingtian said, "I can swear that in 2 years, I will duel with Shiminyan. If I lose, I don't have the qualifications to become Shiminyan's husband, and I don't have the qualifications to become the future Cloud Sky City's Lord. I will voluntarily resign from the position of Cloud Sky City's successor and leave Cloud Sky City, never to take a step into Cloud Sky City. If I go against it, May the heavens and earth destroy me, and I will never be reincarnated. Xi Minyan coldly said, swear on your parents. Instantly Yang Dingtian's eyes filled with anger. The muscles on his face twitched as he said, if I go against my oath, may my parents not have peace in the other world. Is that enough? Yang Dingtian asked. Yin and you swear on my godfather's reputation, Xi Minyan said. Xi Minyan didn't say anything, only coldly staring at Xi Minyan. Xi Minyan's eyes narrowed. Then he raised his head and said, I am also doing this for Cloud Sky City. Xi Minyan stared at Xi Minyan and said word by word, in 2 years Yang Dingtian and Xi Minyan will duel. If Yang Dingtian loses, he will automatically lose the qualifications to become the successor of Cloud Sky City's lord. I will recommend Xi Minyan to be the successor of Cloud Sky City's lord. If I go against it, let my father Xi Wuxia hack me to death. Obviously, this oath was against Xi Minyan's rules, but under Xi Minyan's burning gaze, Xi Minyan's lips trembled, and he didn't say anything else. Xi Minyan, can you leave now? Xi Minyan coldly said. Yin, I am also doing this for Cloud Sky City, Xi Minyan said. He then stared at Yang Dingtian and sneered, trash, I will let you linger on for a while longer. In 2 years you will become a real trash. Humph. Xi Minyan coldly snorted, then turned and left. The cabin was silent. Xi Minyan finally couldn't hold it in any longer. Tears surged out, and she looked at her father with distressed eyes. She sobbed hard, but she didn't dare to cry out loud. She had been protected by her father since she was young, and she was like a princess. However, everything had changed now. Her sky had collapsed, and her sworn brother, who had always been obedient to her, had revealed a sinister face. Her already wounded heart was ruthlessly ravaged once again, and her young and tender shoulders were almost unable to hold on any longer. Who could she rely on now? She wasn't an ambitious woman like Dongfang Bingling. For the past few years, she had only wanted to live a carefree life under her father's protection. Yang Dingtian looked at Xi Minyan, who was crying helplessly. Yang Dingtian felt a burst of heartache. The voluptuous and sexy body in front of him now looked so weak and hurt. He really wanted to go up and comfort her, and whisper into her ear that he would protect her from now on. Yin, do you hate me? However, this was what came out of Yang Dingtian's mouth. Xi Minyan raised her beautiful face and looked at Yang Dingtian with teary eyes. Hatred and resentment flashed in her eyes, but it quickly turned into sadness. Anyone else would hate him. If it weren't for the fact that he had to protect Yang Dingtian, Xi Wuxia wouldn't have met with such an ending. He would still be one of the top experts in the world, leading Cloud Sky City to dominate the world for decades. Even Black Sky Sex Zhu Qingzhu wouldn't dare to provoke him. However, all of this changed because of Yang Dingtian. Hate, how can I not hate you? Xi Minyan said. Back then you didn't sell the flame ornament to me. You were rude to me, and you even caused me to be scolded by my father. I hate you to death. Now that you've caused my father to be like this, how can I not hate you? Yang Dingtian looked at Xi Minyan. He wanted to say sorry, but in the end he didn't. This wasn't something that could be solved by just saying sorry. Xi Minyan stared at Yang Dingtian with her beautiful eyes. But don't worry, I'm not Dongfang Bingling. My father married me to you, so I'll wholeheartedly become your wife and help you wholeheartedly. I still hate you in my heart, but I'll still listen to my father and learn to be your wife. Xi Minyan continued, so please don't worry. Even if you ask for physical intimacy now, I won't refuse. I'll fulfill my responsibilities as a wife. And as your wife, I won't scold you like before. I won't be disrespectful to you. And I won't order you around, Xi Minyan said. But if you want more, then I'm sorry, I can't do it. More? What was that? That was Xi Minyan's heart. Yang Dingtian nodded and didn't say anything. Instead, he knelt down in front of Xi Wuxia. He pulled out a dagger and slashed his palm, smearing the blood on his face. He knelt down and said word by word, I, Yang Dingtian, swear to the 2 suns and 2 moons in the sky. I swear to the primal chaos continent. I will definitely kill Zhu Qingzhu and his entire family. I will definitely help Cloud Heaven City take back the rightful Yinyang school. I will definitely protect Xi Minyan for the rest of her life and not let any harm come to her. If I violate this oath, the 2 suns will kill me, the 2 moons will kill me, and the primal chaos continent will bury me. This was the highest oath in the primal chaos continent, the blood oath. Chapter 29. Tears streamed down my cheeks. Cloud Sky City's boat headed west, but this time it didn't reach the icy land where the glacier was. Instead, it followed the coastline and went around this continent, continuing to head towards the northwest continent where Cloud Sky City was located. Along the way, they encountered many ships, but they didn't encounter any trouble. All the ships avoided Cloud Heaven City's flag. It was obvious that no one knew about Shimin Wuya's matter, and Yang Dingtian's worry about the Xian Sky Sect's ambush on the sea didn't happen. Perhaps it was because of Yang Dingtian's 2-year promise, but Shimin Yan didn't look for trouble along the way. However, he was already openly trying to win people's hearts. Shimin Yan didn't do anything every day. She just stayed by her father's side. She didn't eat, drink, or say a word. She completely wrapped herself in ice. Every time Yang Dingtian brought food, she would leave it there until it became cold. She didn't even touch it. She didn't eat or drink for several days, and she almost didn't sleep. Shimin Yan quickly became haggard. Her 2 beautiful big eyes became red and swollen. Her beautiful face, which had some baby fat, became thin and her chin became sharp. She was a completely different kind of beauty. Shimin Yan was burning her own life. Yang Dingtian knew that he couldn't persuade Shimin Yan with any words. Furthermore, Shimin Yan didn't want to talk to him. However, he couldn't continue like this. Shimin Yan would die. Thus, Yang Dingtian didn't try to persuade her. He just sat beside Shimin Yan and accompanied her. He didn't eat, drink, or sleep. He hadn't recovered from his serious injuries, so he was playing with his life. Only 2 days later, his face darkened. Seeing Yang Dingtian on the verge of collapse, Shimin Yan said, "You don't have to be like this. You still have an important mission." Yang Dingtian asked, "What mission?" "Fight with Dongfang Bingling and take back everything that belongs to you. Help Cloud Sky City regain the rightful position of Yinyang School," Shimin Yan said. "That's right. But there's an even more important mission," Yang Dingtian said. "That's to protect you from harm." Yang Dingtian continued, "This is the first mission given to me by Martial Uncle Shimin. If I can't complete this mission, then the following missions would be meaningless. I'm very weak now, and I can't protect you at all. So, dying together with you is pretty good." Shimin Yan's originally gloomy eyes flashed with a bright light, but she still didn't speak. Yang Dingtian thought for a while and said, "When I came to this world, I had nothing. I couldn't find a reason to fight. I only lived for the sake of living. Later I met Master. We were like father and son, so his expectations for me became my goal and mission. Later I went to Yinyang School. You know what happened? That's why my hatred and unwillingness towards Dongfang Bingling became my reason and mission to continue living. Later, because of me, Martial Uncle Shimin. So, his request became my mission and my reason for living. Later, when I saw your tears and your sadness," Yang Dingtian looked at Shimin Yan's beautiful face and said, "In the past, you were very unruly and rude. You ordered people around. Although you almost beat me half to death, I still liked the Shimin Yan at that time. That was the real Shimin Yan." Yan shook her head and said, "Now what right do I have to continue being unruly? The person who can protect and tolerate my unruly behavior is no longer around. So, Yang Dingtian looked at Shimin Yan seriously and said, "Making you unruly again, making you arrogant and bossy again, is also my mission. The reason for my struggle, because this is what I owe you. Master is no longer around, and Martial Uncle Shimin is also." Yang Dingtian continued, "I don't want to let hatred completely fill my heart. So, your happiness became my last and most important reason. Protecting a person is more meaningful than vengeance, right? It is also more meaningful than an illusory mission." Yang Dingtian commented. Yan raised her head and stared at Yang Dingtian with her big eyes for a long time. The ice around her body seemed to crack. "You are very good at making girls like you. But unfortunately, my heart is already..." Shimin Yan raised her beautiful face and said, "But at least I don't hate you as much as before." "I don't hate you as much as before?" Then Shimin Yan began to eat. "But please don't worry, I will fulfill my duty as a wife. But I really can't give you more, I'm sorry." After more than 2 months of sailing, Yang Dingtian spent most of his time soaking in the medicinal soup to recuperate. He also desperately read all kinds of books. Before he officially learned the martial arts of this world, he had to have a sufficient understanding of this world's martial arts. The last time they chatted, Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yanyan seemed to have exhausted all their friendship. Shimin Yanyan didn't say a word to Yang Dingtian. She stayed in the cabin every day, staying by her father's side. Other than taking a bath, she didn't take a step out of the cabin. Yang Dingtian didn't want to see her like this. He looked for all kinds of reasons to talk to her, but at most she responded with a humph. Thus Yang Dingtian took a book and sat beside Yanyan every day, carefully reading it. When he came across something he didn't understand, he would ask. No matter how childish he was, he would ask. Finally, one day Yan couldn't help but say, "Why are you so stupid? You don't even know something so simple." Once he opened his mouth, he couldn't stop. Yang Dingtian was very thick-skinned in this aspect. He continued to ask very seriously all kinds of questions that he didn't understand. Thus Yan Yan became half his teacher. After Yang Dingtian finished reading more than 10 books, the voyage finally ended. They once again set foot on land. She went to the northwest continent. The people of Cloud Sky City all changed to horses and carriages. They still had to travel 3,000 miles to reach Cloud Sky City. Along the way, Yang Dingtian was worried that there would be enemies on land. After all, Cloud Sky City had made countless enemies in the western continent over the years. But they worried too much. Not only did they not encounter any attacks, but everywhere they passed, all their enemies avoided them. It turned out that no one knew that something had happened to Shimin Wuya. But many people had already heard of Shimin Wuya's shocking battle on the sea. He displayed his invincible might and defeated several master stage experts. So, before they even set foot on the western continent, Shimin Wuya's name was already very famous. Although the forces in the western continent didn't dare to offend the Black Sky sect in Yinyang School to curry favor with Cloud Sky City, they also didn't dare to offend Cloud Sky City. Instead, they were worried that Cloud Sky City would use this opportunity to expand in the western continent again. After traveling for a few thousand miles, they were only 300 miles away from Cloud Sky City. The closer they got to Cloud Sky City, the less fragile Shimin Yanyan's eyes looked. But occasionally there was more uneasiness. Moreover, the closer they got to Cloud Sky City, the more vigilant Shimin Yan, Yang Dingtian, and Shimin Yanyan became. In the last few days, Shimin Yan was even constantly monitoring Shimin Yanyan and Yang Dingtian, not allowing them to do anything. On the last night, they were less than 200 miles away from Cloud Sky City. They would reach Cloud Sky City tomorrow night. One by one, blackbirds flew out from the garrison and headed towards Cloud Heaven City. Some belonged to Shimin Yanyan, and some belonged to Shimin Yan. Shimin Yanyan paced back and forth in the tent uneasily. Finally, she stood still and looked at Yang Dingtian. "We will reach Cloud Sky City tomorrow. Our true danger is coming. On this journey, your only enemy is Shimin Yan. But in Cloud Sky City, you will have many enemies much stronger than Shimin Yan." Even with father's strength, when he inherited the position of Cloud Sky City Lord, a lot of blood was shed, many people died, and many people were expelled, Shimin Yanyan said. So you have to be mentally prepared. Yang Dingtian said, "It's better than the situation in Yinyang School?" "Not necessarily. At least at that time, Dongfang Bingling didn't really want to kill you, but the people in Cloud Sky City might." Shimin Yanyan said, "But as your wife, I will do everything I can to help you. This is my promise to father." Then, Shimin Yanyan walked to the entrance of the tent and looked at the sky outside. "The key is that person. Is he willing to help me? Is he willing to stand on your side? As long as he is willing to be loyal to you, we will have won half the battle." The next morning, the team continued to move forward. They were only 100 miles away from Cloud Sky City. Suddenly, there was a deafening sound of horse hooves. The road ahead was filled with dust. Immediately, Shimin Yanyan ordered the entire team to stop moving forward and enter a defensive state. After a while, hundreds of armored horses galloped over. Each of the riders carried a large sword on their back and their red cloaks fluttered in the wind. Although there were only 100 of them, there was an army of thousands of riders galloping over. The leader of the riders was wrapped in darkness. He was as majestic as a mountain, mighty and domineering. Before they even got close to the team, The 100 riders rolled down from their saddles and knelt on both sides of the road. Their movements were neat and orderly, as if they were one person. The leader of the riders got down from his horse and stabbed his large sword into the ground. He knelt down on one knee and said, "Black Blood Cavalry Commander Shimen Lai welcomes Godfather." This person's voice was loud and deafening. "Boss!" Shimen Yan shouted loudly and rushed out on his horse. He got down from his horse in front of Shimen Lai and gave him a warm hug. "I missed you so much for the past half a year. Good brother. It must have been hard on you this time. You also earned a lot of prestige," Shimen Lai replied with the same enthusiasm. Shimen Yan pushed open the door and peeked out her beautiful face. "Big brother." Shimen Lai greets Mississippi. Shimen Lai immediately bowed. He was also Shimen Wuya's godson, but he still called Shimen Yan Miss and not her name. "Big brother, come up for a moment. I have something to say to you," Shimen Yan said. "Yes," Shimen Lai said. Then he stood up and walked towards Shimen Yan's carriage. Shimen Yan's complexion slightly changed. He wanted to say something but didn't say anything. Shimen Lai was really majestic. After getting on the carriage, the originally spacious carriage seemed a bit small. After getting on the carriage, Shimen Lai put his large sword aside and took off his helmet, revealing his heroic and resolute face. His long golden hair fluttered in the wind. His golden beard was as dense as steel thorns. He had deep big eyes, a strong nose, and a face that looked like it had been chopped by an axe. He looked like a majestic lion. After getting on the carriage, Shimen Lai saw Yang Dingtian at the side. He was slightly startled and frowned. He shifted his gaze and didn't look at Yang Dingtian again. "Big brother," Shimen Yan said to Shimen Lai. "This is Yang Dingtian, my husband." Chapter 30. Shimen Lai, who was like a lion king, suddenly raised his head and glared at Yang Dingtian. His gaze was like a burning flame. After looking at Yang Dingtian from head to toe, he frowned. "Yang Dingtian, this is father's most valued adopted son, Cloud Sky City's Black Blood Cavalry's commander. Big brother Yang Dingtian." Shimen Yan introduced Shimen Lai to Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian bowed and said, "Yang Dingtian greets Commander Shimen Lai." Shimen Yan looked at Yang Dingtian unhappily. Why did he call him Commander Shimen Lai instead of Big Brother? Shimen Lai didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Shimen Yan with a questioning gaze. Why did she suddenly have a husband? "Big brother, it was father who betrothed me to him. We have already bowed to the heavens and earth and are officially husband and wife," Shimen Yan said. Shimen Lai's expression changed and he asked, "Why is that?" "Because father is already gone," Shimen Yan said. Her small mouth was pale and bloodless. Suddenly, Shimen Lai's body shook, and his eyes widened. He roared in a low voice, "Impossible! Didn't you say that foster father showed great power at sea and defeated several grandmasters in a row?" Shimen Yan lifted the curtain behind her and revealed Shimen Wuya, who was sitting inside. Although his expression didn't change and he was still alive, he was no longer breathing. "Gotcha!" Shimen Lai clenched his fist and a crisp sound could be heard. Ayo! Just as he was about to roar, he suddenly clenched his teeth. Then, his entire body began to twitch violently. He directly knelt on the ground. His lion-like body trembled violently, and a low roar came from his throat like an injured beast. Looking at Shimen Lai, who was convulsing in grief, Yin desperately clenched her teeth and didn't let herself cry. Her tears had already dried up, and now she didn't want to cry anymore. After a few minutes, Shimen Lai raised his head. His eye sockets had already split open, and what flowed out of the corners of his eyes were not tears, but 2 streams of blood. "Who is it?" Shimen Lai opened his mouth and slowly asked. Suddenly, blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. His snow-white teeth were already dyed red with blood. Because he had gritted his teeth too hard, his gums were already torn. "Zhu Qingzhu Inyang School," Shimen Yan said. The muscles on Shimen Lai's face suddenly twitched. His eyes emitted endless hatred as he coldly said, "I know. Can I trust you?" "Big brother," said Shimen Yan. Shimen Lai said resolutely, "My life, my glory, my everything was bestowed upon me by my adoptive father. For Cloud Sky City I can give up everything including my life. Yin Shimin said. At the last moment, father betrothed me to Yang Dingtian and handed Cloud Sky City to Yang Dingtian. So Yang Dingtian is the next Cloud Sky City lord? Are you willing to stand on his side? What? Shimin Lai was shocked as he looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief. He could tell at a glance that Yang Dingtian was very weak, very weak. He was so weak that it was unimaginable. But even though he was very shocked and confused, he still didn't say a word of disdain. Are you willing to lead 3,000 Black Blood Cavalry and pledge your loyalty to Yang Dingtian? Yin Lai stared at Shimin Lai and slowly asked. 3,000 Black Blood Cavalry was Cloud Sky City's largest armed force. Shimin Wuya had handed this force to Shimin Lai, which showed that he was the person he trusted the most. Shimin Lai stared at Yang Dingtian as the muscles on his face twitched. After a long while, he gritted his teeth and said, I don't understand, but I will obey. Yin Shimin loosened her clenched fists and let out a sigh of relief. Thank you, big brother. The important thing isn't me, it's the Elders Guild, Shimin Lai said. This matter cannot be passed by the Elders Guild. When adoptive father was here, he could make the decision. But now that he's gone, everything in Cloud Sky City is decided by the Elders Guild. I only have 1 vote in the Elders Guild, Madam can have 1 vote, and the remaining 7 votes will definitely be against it. So Yang Dingtian and I not only need your support, but also your unreserved support. Yin Shimin Lai said, if it's necessary, don't hesitate to use certain methods. You have the largest military force in Cloud Sky City. Is Cloud Sky City going to bleed again? Shimin Lai was shocked and looked at Yang Dingtian. No, he's too weak. He's really too weak. He can't carry Cloud Sky City. Being weak now doesn't mean he'll be weak in the future. Shimin Yin Lai said. How long do we have to wait? 10 years? 20 years? Shimin Lai said, no one can wait. Cloud Sky City can't wait. In less than 10 years, our enemies will tear Cloud Sky City into pieces and wash it with blood. 2 years. Yang Dingtian suddenly said, I've just passed the initiation period. I'm not even a novice warrior yet. At this time in 2 years, if I can defeat Shimin Yen and the others and become the #1 young expert in Cloud Sky City, I'll be qualified to become the new Cloud Sky City Lord. Otherwise, I'll either die or leave Cloud Sky City and never step into it again. You're crazy, Shimin Lai said slowly. This isn't courage or even madness. It's ignorance, that's right. The ignorant are fearless. Yang Dingtian said slowly. However, if I'm still not a match for Shimin Yen and the others in 2 years, how can I fight against Dongfang Bingling in 5 years? Yin Lai said from the side. Yang Dingtian was chosen by Dongfang Minmi. Then, he was chosen by my father. They trusted him without reservation. Shimin Lai was in a dilemma. He clenched his teeth. After a long time he punched the ground and said, all right, I'll give you 2 years. In these 2 years I'll do everything I can to support you, even if I have to pay the price with blood. Then Shimin Lai stood up and walked outside. He said, Foster Father's fame has spread far and wide. The Elders Guild led thousands of Cloud Sky City disciples to welcome him. They're only a few dozen miles away from here. You have to be prepared. I'll go prepare too, just in case. After getting off the carriage, Shimin Lai rode on his horse and shouted, everyone, get on your horses. Full speed ahead towards Black Blood Castle. Yes. All the Black Blood Knights quickly got on their horses and lined up neatly. Shimin Yen quickly went forward and said, Boss, please wait. I have something to say to you. Shimin Lai turned around and stared at Shimin Yen for a while. He said plainly, I'm in a hurry. Next time. Shimin Yen felt the change in his attitude and quickly said, just for a while, big brother. Shimin Lai said, then come with me. Follow me to the Dark Castle. This? Shimin Yen hesitated. He needed to see the Elders Guild as soon as possible to express his intentions. However, he also needed Shimin Lai's support. Before Yang Dingtian appeared, the future Cloud Sky City Lord would be born from these few foster sons. Shimin Lai was originally the one with the highest hopes because he was the strongest. He was also the most valued and trusted by Shimin Wuya. However, he was the first to withdraw from the competition and became the commander of the Black Blood Cavalry. This position held the greatest power in Cloud Sky City, and was the most trusted confidant of the Cloud Sky City Lord. He was second only to the Cloud Sky City Lord. However, taking this position meant that he would forever give up the competition for the position of Cloud Sky City Lord. Therefore, Shimin Lai became the person that many foster sons wanted to befriend the most. This was because no matter who wanted to become the Cloud Sky City Lord, they had to obtain the support of the Black Blood Cavalry commander. Alright, I haven't seen Big Brother for half a year. I miss you so much. I will follow Big Brother to the Black Blood Castle. I have many things to say to Big Brother. Shimin Yan quickly decided that it was more important to obtain the support of the Black Blood Cavalry commander. He rode his horse and followed Shimin Lai as they galloped towards the Black Blood Castle. The Black Blood Castle was the Black Blood Cavalry's encampment. It was built on a dangerous mountain pass to protect Cloud Sky City. After Shimin Yan and Shimin Lai left, Shimin Yan sent a confidant to the place where the 1,000 disciples of Cloud Sky City were to welcome them. In Shimin Wuya's name, only the Elders Guild would stay behind to welcome the city lord. The rest would return to Cloud Sky City more than 2 hours later. A beautiful woman led 6 men and waited at the bridgehead of a large stone bridge. Her beautiful eyes were filled with joy and anticipation. The 1,000 Cloud Sky City disciples behind them had already returned. Shimin Yan and Yang Dingtian's team slowly drove to the other end of the bridge, getting closer and closer. An elder stepped forward and bowed. The Elders Guild of Cloud Sky City respectfully welcomes the city lord. Congratulations on your triumphant return and awe the world. Instantly, everyone bowed, including the beautiful woman. The team stopped and the door of the largest carriage opened. Yin Yan and Shimin Wuya slowly alighted from the carriage. Shimin Yan's snow-white lips trembled as she said, "Father was severely injured and is recuperating in seclusion. He will come out in 3 years. Father has ordered that my husband, Yang Dingtian, will be the successor of the Cloud Sky City Lord." After speaking, Yin Yan gently lifted the curtain and let her mother see the silent Shimin Wuya inside. Instantly, the beautiful woman cried out and fainted on the ground. "Mother!" Shimin Yan quickly ran out. The rest of the elders trembled as they were shocked. Cloud Sky City was built on top of a mountain that was close to 1,000 meters high. The mountain range stretched for dozens of miles and Cloud Sky City also stretched for dozens of miles. Inyang School was built on top of the mountain and took up half of the immeasurable mountain. Cloud Sky City was built on top of the mountain range and was long and winding. Inyang School didn't have city walls. Cloud Sky City had tall and huge black city walls. In the center of Cloud Sky City's castle, in the huge hall, 8 elders sat on high seats and surrounded the hall. Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yan stood in the center and were questioned by the Elders Guild about the entire incident. After more than 2 hours of narration, every detail and every line of dialogue was recorded clearly. In the end, Yin Yan said, "My grandfather Yang Lai betrothed my mother to my father, Shimin Wuya, and appointed him as the new Cloud Sky City Lord. My father betrothed me to Yang Dingtian and appointed him as the new Cloud Sky City Lord." Shimin Yan's beautiful eyes slowly scanned all the elders present and slowly asked, "Every generation of Cloud Sky City Lords has the right to appoint a successor, right? Therefore Yang Dingtian becoming the new Cloud Sky City Lord is legal and reasonable, right? If there are no objections, announce it to the world." Chapter 31. After Shimin Yan spoke, there was silence. No one responded. Everyone's gaze fell on the great elder's face. The great elder Yang Yan was the older brother of the previous Cloud Sky City Lord Yang Lai. He was 95 years old this year. At this moment, his eyes were closed and his head was lowered as if he was asleep. He had no intention of speaking. Suddenly, a middle-aged elder stood up and said, "I have a few words to say and a few questions to ask." Shimin Yan said, "Uncle Tang Buozhao, please." This person had the same status as Shimin Wuya. They were both son-in-laws of Cloud Sky City. His wife was the daughter of another brother of Yang Lai, so Shimin Yan called him uncle. This person was ranked 5th in the Elder Council. Tang Buozhao looked at Yang Dingtian and said, "May I ask, what is your cultivation level?" "I just passed the enlightenment period," Yang Dingtian said. "What?" Tang Buozhao was shocked. He revealed an expression of disbelief and said, "Just past the enlightenment period? A person who just passed the Enlightenment period wants to become the new Cloud Sky City Lord? Everyone under the leadership of City Lord Shimin, our Cloud Sky City has conquered countless sects and forces with iron and blood, and they have all knelt before our Cloud Sky City. Because of City Lord Shimin's invincibility, Cloud Sky City's territory has expanded from less than 100 miles to 1,000 miles in just 20 years. In these 20 years, Cloud Sky City has killed countless people and made thousands of enemies. When City Lord Shimin was here, no one dared to provoke Cloud Sky City. However, now that City Lord Shimin is no longer here, Cloud Sky City has entered its most dangerous period. In this 1,000 miles of land, how many forces have deep grudges with Cloud Sky City? How many forces appear to be subservient but have hatred in their hearts? As long as we are weak, this group of people will pounce on us and exterminate Cloud Sky City. At this time, you still want to let a person who just passed the Enlightenment period become the new Cloud Sky City Lord? Tang Boizhou said coldly. Do you think Cloud Sky City is not dying fast enough? Therefore, I firmly oppose Yang Dingtian becoming the successor of the Cloud Sky City Lord. Tang Boizhou said firmly. Seconded. Seconded. Out of the 8 elders present, only 3 of them did not agree. As for Yinyan's mother, there was no greater sorrow than the death of her heart. Although she was sitting here, it was as if she was only a shell, and her soul had already left with her husband. Shimin Lai sat there not saying a word. The great elder's head was still lowered and his eyes were closed as if he was asleep. And Yinyan had no right to raise her hand to vote. The other person who didn't agree was Shimin Ju. He was Cloud Heaven City's general manager and Shimin Wuya's second adopted son. He was also the adopted son with the most authority and was favored by Shimin Wuya. When Yinyan saw that Shimin Ju didn't raise his hand, a trace of gratification flashed through her eyes. At the very least, the adopted son that his father loved and valued was still loyal. Shimin Yinyan coldly stared at Tang Boizhou and said, "Are you going to go against my father's order?" Tang Boizhou slowly said, "May I ask, what evidence do you have to prove that the City Lord has appointed Yang Dingtian as the successor of the Cloud Heaven City Lord? May I ask if there was a third person who heard or saw this scene?" At this moment, Shimin Yin slowly walked in and bowed to the elders. "I was just outside the door at that time. I didn't hear or see anything." Tang Boizhou nodded and said, "Thank you for your testimony. You can leave now." Shimin Yin sneered at Yang Dingtian and walked out. Shimin Yinyan's small face suddenly turned pale. She sneered and said, "Is it not enough that my father betrothed me to Yang Dingtian? Can't my husband be the successor of the Cloud Heaven City Lord?" Tang Boizhou said, "Who knows, Yinyan, if you had an affair with him before, and that's why you helped him obtain the position of the Cloud Heaven City Lord?" Shimin Yinyan's delicate body trembled. She couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood, but she desperately swallowed it back. Tang Boizhou said, "Without the consent of the parents, a private betrothal is invalid. Therefore, your marriage with Yang Dingtian cannot be counted. As the daughter of the City Lord, you should have a better place to belong. You should contribute more to Cloud Heaven City." Yinyan's expression changed and said, "What do you mean?" Tang Boizhou said, "Not long ago, the Northwest Qin family sent a messenger. They want to form an alliance with Cloud Heaven City, and let Miss Yinyan become the young madam of the Northwest Qin family. Before this, Cloud Heaven City might not have cared about it. But now we need a strong ally to ensure the safety of Cloud Heaven City. After all, other than the City Lord, Cloud Heaven City has no other master stage powerhouses." It seemed that the Northwest Qin family already knew the truth about Shimin Wuya. Shimin Yinyan finally couldn't hold back the mouthful of blood and spilled from the corner of her mouth. She never would have thought that this group of people not only wanted to deprive Yang Dingtian of the position of the City Lord, but also wanted to give her as a gift to the Northwest Qin family. "Uncle," Yinyan's mother suddenly said, "My husband just. Your Yang family can't wait to rebel?" Great Elder Yang Yan opened his turbid eyes and said slowly, "Madam Shimin, don't forget that you are also a member of the Yang family." Madam Shimin shook her head and said, "No, I am a member of the Shimin family, not the Yang family." "Humph, women are so heartless." Another old man suddenly stood up angrily and said, "Even if you, Yang Pei, are a member of the Shimin family, Cloud Heaven City has always belonged to the Yang family. It's just that in this generation, Shimin Wuya is temporarily in charge. Now that Shimin Wuya is no longer around, Cloud Heaven City naturally belongs to the Yang family. Madame Shimin Yang Peipei's beautiful eyes turned cold and she said slowly, unfortunately, other than a few old men, there is no one else in the Yang family. Isn't that because your man wanted to exterminate the Yang family? That old man said angrily. Madame Shimin said seriously, second uncle, don't forget. Your Yang family was indignant that my husband obtained the position of Cloud Heaven City Lord. So you seduced the enemy and killed my father. You even wanted to kill our family and take away the position of Cloud Heaven City Lord. Even so, my husband only killed the main culprit and spared most of their lives. He only chased them away. Also, second uncle, you married your daughter to the Northwest Qin family as a concubine in an attempt to attract strong reinforcements. Now you want to give my daughter to the Northwest Qin family as a commodity? That will have to wait until I am dead. Madame Shimin said coldly. My husband married Yinyan to Yang Dingtian. So Yang Dingtian is the new Cloud Heaven City Lord. Then Yang Peipei suddenly pulled out her long sword and said coldly, if anyone objects, ask the long sword in my hand first. Madame Shimin indeed had such a fiery temper. Humph, then I'll teach you a lesson. The second elder snorted coldly. Then, he jumped up and rushed towards Yang Peipei. Wait, Yang Dingtian said. The second elder said coldly and disdainfully, is there a place for you to speak here? Yang Dingtian replied, I know. With my current cultivation, being the successor of Cloud Sky City is a complete joke. Not only will the elders not agree, but the disciples of Cloud Sky City will also not agree. Hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Yining couldn't help but glare at him and said, Yang Dingtian, what nonsense are you talking about? Yang Dingtian continued, I remember that when City Lord Yang Lai appointed his son-in-law Shimin Wuya as the new Cloud Heaven City Lord, it caused the entire Elder Guild to be dissatisfied, especially the Yang clan members. As a result, more than a year after the death of City Lord Yang Lai, Cloud Sky City did not have a new City Lord. In order to quell public anger, Uncle Master Shimin Wuya proposed to hold a martial arts contest for the position of the City Lord, using martial arts to determine who will become the new City Lord of Cloud Sky City. As long as you are a disciple of the 19th generation of Cloud Sky City, you can participate in the martial arts contest for the City Lord's throne. That's right, although Shimin Wuya was appointed as the successor by Yang Lai. In the end, he still defeated everyone in Cloud Sky City through the martial arts contest and truly ascended to the City Lord's throne. Yang Dingtian continued, therefore, I propose that the new City Lord of Cloud Sky City also be decided through the martial arts contest. Whoever obtains the final victory in the martial arts contest will be the new City Lord of Cloud Sky City. What do you think? After Yang Dingtian finished speaking, the entire place was silent. A few minutes later, Great Elder Yang Yan said, Then, when do you think the martial arts contest will be held? That's right. Tang Buozhao sneered. It can't be held in 5 or 10 years. During this period of time, Cloud Sky City will have no City Lord. 2 years later, Yang Dingtian said, I once promised Shimin Yan that I would fight with him in 2 years. If I lose, I will give up my position as the successor of Cloud Sky City and be expelled from Cloud Sky City. Then I might as well hold it together with the martial arts contest. 2 years is too long. Great Elder Yang Yan said, the City Lord's position cannot be left vacant for such a long time. The martial arts contest will be held by next winter at the latest. No. Yang Peipei said, 1.5 years is too short. Absolutely not. At this moment, the longer the martial arts contest was pushed back, the more advantageous it would be for Yang Dingtian. Yang Yan said indifferently, you object? Then let's raise your hands to vote. Those who agree to hold the martial arts contest for the City Lord's position on the 29th of December next winter, raise your hands. Immediately, a few elders raised their hands. It was still 6-2. In short, in the Elder Council's vote, Yang Dingtian's side was definitely at a disadvantage. The vote is passed. Yang Yan said indifferently, Yang Peipei Shimin Lai, do you agree to the Elder Council's vote? If you don't agree, then you will be expelled from the Elder Council. Yang Peipei and Shimin Lai looked at each other. After a moment of silence, they nodded and said, we agree. The martial arts contest will be held on the 29th of December next year. Good, then it's decided. Meeting adjourned, Yang Yan said. He then stood up and walked out with his walking stick. After walking out a few steps, Great Elder Yang Yan said to Yang Dingtian, "Thank you for your suggestion to solve Cloud Sky City's problem. However, you cannot participate in the martial arts contest because you are not a disciple of Cloud Sky City." What? Yang Dingtian exclaimed. Shimin Yinyan and Shimin Lai's expressions also changed. Great Elder Yang Yan smiled and said, "Because you are not a disciple of Cloud Sky City?" Yang Dingtian felt a chill in his heart. This Yang Yan was a man of few words. He thought that he was at least a person of virtue and prestige, but he didn't expect him to be so shameless. Suppressing his anger, Yang Dingtian sneered and said, "I am Shimin Yanyan's husband, the son-in-law of City Lord Shimin. How can I not be a disciple of Cloud Sky City? How can I not participate in the martial arts contest next year as the successor of Cloud Sky City?" Great Elder Yang Yan didn't say anything, but Tang Buizhao sneered and said, "Because you are too weak. You are not qualified to be a disciple of Cloud Sky City." Chapter 32. How old are you? Grand Elder Yang Yan asked. Still half a month away from 20, Yang Dingtian replied. Haha, you still have the face to say that? Tang Buizhao sneered, "You're already 20 years old, but you're not even a novice warrior. What qualifications do you have to be a disciple of Cloud Sky City? You've already been expelled." Yang Yan said, "Cloud Sky City holds an elimination tournament every day. Every disciple who has just reached 20 years of age has to participate. The last 10 will all be eliminated and expelled from Cloud Sky City. Do you know what level the last 10 was in last year's elimination tournament?" "Please enlighten me," Yang Dingtian said. "He was a 6-star Xian martial artist, 16 stars higher than you," Yang Yan said with a hint of mockery. "Even he was expelled from Cloud Sky City, let alone you?" With that, Yang Yan continued to walk outside and said, "Cloud Sky City doesn't take in idle people. Leave immediately before it gets dark." Young Peipei finally could not hold back and shouted, "Yang Yan, you old fool, you're going too far." She pulled out her sword and pointed it at Yang Yan's back. "Young Peipei, are you rebelling?" Yang Yan said coldly, "Then I don't mind cleaning the house." Yang Yan slowly raised the staff in his hand. Tang Buizhao and the second elder pulled out their swords as well. Shimin Lai pulled out his great sword. Yin also pulled out her sword. "Grand Elder Yang Yan, don't go too far. We've already compromised a lot. We must let Yang Dingtian become a candidate for the City Lord and participate in the tournament tomorrow," Shimin Lai said resolutely. "Or else," Yang Yan said indifferently. "Or else blood will splatter the hall," Shimin Lai said coldly. "Good," Yang Yan said coldly. "Then let's talk with our swords." Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Yang Yan's remaining 3 people also pulled out their weapons. The battle was on the verge of breaking out. Yang Yan's side had 5 experts. Yang Dingtian's side only had 2 experts, Shimin Lai and Yang Peipei. They were at an absolute disadvantage. There was still one person who remained neutral and did not say anything. He was Shimin Ju. His face was ordinary, but his skin was fairer and more delicate than a woman's. His entire face was ordinary, but his eyes were long and narrow. His gaze was like water, even more moving than a woman's eyes. He was 33 years old this year, and was in charge of Cloud Sky City's internal affairs. Along with Shimin Lai, he was Shimin Wuya's right-hand man, and was one of the most powerful people in Cloud Sky City. "Second brother, what are you waiting for? Are you going to let the Yang family bully foster father's family like this?" Shimin Lai roared towards Shimin Ju. Shimin Ju hesitated for a moment before drawing his sword as well. Immediately, Shimin Lai's expression relaxed. He knew how formidable Shimin Ju was. Even though the other side had 5 people and they only had 3 experts on their side and were in a disadvantageous position, they might still be able to put up a fight. However, what happened next stunned Shimin Lai, Shimin Yinyan, and the others. Because after Shimin Ju drew his sword, he directly stood on Great Elder Yang Yan's side, confronting Yang Dingtian's side as enemies. Even Great Elder Yang Yan's side revealed an astonished expression. They didn't expect Shimin Ju to stand on their side. Previously, Shimin Ju obeyed Shimin Wuya's orders and made things difficult for Yang Yan and the others. They were completely hostile towards each other. They didn't expect that once Shimin Wuya got into trouble, Shimanju would immediately switch sides. Shimanlai couldn't believe it and raged, "Second brother, your conscience has been eaten by a dog. Don't forget who picked you up, who raised you, who taught you martial arts, who thought highly of you and made you the chief steward of Cloud Sky City, second only to one person. Is this how you repay foster father's kindness?" Shimanju said indifferently, "Boss, I am doing this for the future of Cloud Sky City." "Shimanju, you ungrateful bastard. You will definitely be struck by lightning and die without a burial ground," Shimanlai roared. "Dalai, why are you talking to this bastard?" Young Peipei said angrily. "Just fight with your life on the line." "Yes, godmother," Shimanlai said angrily. "Very good." Great Elder Yang Yan sneered. His eyes revealed an extremely dangerous light. Because of Shimanju's participation, his side had an absolute advantage. Instantly, his heart was filled with killing intent. If he could take this opportunity to kill Shimanlai, Yang Peipei, Yang Dingtian, and the others, then everything would be settled once and for all. The Yang clan would once again regain control of Cloud Sky City. "Remember, you are the ones who rebelled. Don't blame me," Yang Yan said coldly. Then, an incomparably powerful Xian Qi slowly condensed on the staff. Instantly, the jet-black staff became as red as blood. "Do it, don't show mercy," Yang Yan ordered. A great battle was about to break out. Yang Peipei, Shiman Wuya, and Yin Yin were instantly in danger of being killed. "Wait!" Yang Dingtian jumped in between the two parties and stared at Yang Yan. "Great Elder, why are you so anxious? Am I not yet 20 years old? Isn't there still half a month left? If I defeat the 10th from the bottom in the annual elimination tournament, will I have the qualifications to become a disciple of Cloud Sky City? Will I have the qualifications to be a candidate for the City Lord position and participate in the Grand Tournament next winter to fight for the position of City Lord?" "Of course," Yang Yan sneered. "The elimination tournament will be held in half a month. As long as you can break through to become a 6-star mystic martial artist within these 15 days, you can become a disciple of Cloud Sky City." "All right, it's a deal," Yang Dingtian said. "Within 15 days I will rise 16 levels and become a 6-star mystic martial artist or above. Otherwise, I will be expelled from Cloud Sky City." "Yang Dingtian, you're crazy," Shiman Yinyan said in shock. Yang Dingtian was indeed crazy. It was absolutely impossible to break through from an enlightener to a 6-star mystic martial artist in 15 days. In the past 1,000 years, no one had been able to do it. Even a top genius would need half a year. "All right, it's a deal," Yang Yan said coldly. "In 15 days, the elimination tournament will be held. If you can't break through to become a 6-star mystic martial artist and defeat the 10th from the bottom, you will be immediately expelled from Cloud Sky City. Furthermore, you will no longer have the qualifications to marry Shiman Yin. If you agree, I will issue a military order. Otherwise, I will start a massacre and clean up the mess for Cloud Sky City." "Old thief Yang Yan, you're shameless," Yin said angrily. Yang Dingtian took out a pen and paper and wrote a military order. "Yang Dingtian, don't write it. Today we will fight to the death with them," Shiman Yin said angrily. "If you are my husband, don't write it." Yang Dingtian wrote the military order and signed his name. He bit his finger and pressed his fingerprint on it. "Is this enough?" "Great Elder Yang Yan," Yang Dingtian said coldly as he handed over the military order. Great Elder Yang Yan put the military order into his sleeve and said indifferently, "That's enough. You can prepare for the elimination tournament in half a month." Then Great Elder Yang Yan led the crowd away. "Yang Dingtian, you're crazy." Shiman Yanyan stepped forward and said, "That old thief Yang Yan wants to use this opportunity to kill you, and then marry me to that bastard Qing clan's young master. He already has the intention to kill. I can't just watch them kill you," Yang Dingtian said. "I have chosen this path. No matter how difficult it is, I have to walk it." After returning to her room, Yin Yin spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was as white as a sheet of paper. Yang Dingtian poured a cup of water and blew on it to cool it down. He handed it to Yin Yin and then patted her back. This was the first time Yang Dingtian touched her. She frowned slightly but didn't resist. She drank a mouthful of water, and then poured another cup of water. She rinsed her mouth and spat out the blood in her mouth. "Yang Dingtian, you're crazy." Yin Yin looked at Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian nodded and said, "Yes, I'm crazy. But this is Martial Uncle Shiman's will." My father's will? What do you mean? Yin asked. I'm so weak now. How can I truly become Cloud Heaven City's lord? Yang Dingtian said. Back then, Yang Lai appointed Martial Uncle Shiman as the city lord. After Yang Lai passed away, the Yang clansmen rebelled. Therefore, Martial Uncle Shiman proposed a great martial arts competition, wanting to sit on the city lord's seat in a legitimate manner. When it came to me, although Uncle Shiman didn't say it clearly, he obviously knew that the Elder Guild would desperately oppose me. He also hoped that I could use my own strength to rightfully take the position of Cloud Sky City Lord. He gave me the qualifications to compete for the position, the identity of the successor. But to truly sit on that position, I have to rely on myself. Yang Dingtian paused and continued, so, not only did I have to go crazy, Martial Uncle Shiman also wanted me to go crazy. However, we didn't expect Yang Yan to be so shameless. He wanted me to break through 16 levels in half a month and become a Meteor Xian martial artist. Yin Yan's beautiful eyes also revealed a crazy light. She said, okay, since you're crazy, then I'll be crazy with you. You should rest early. Tomorrow morning I'll take you to see someone. Who? Yang Dingtian asked. Your future teacher. She will teach you martial arts in the future. She's a very, very strong person. Someone who's not inferior to my father. Yin Yan said. Maybe she has a way to make you break through to a 6-star Xian martial artist in 15 days. Yang Dingtian said. Since she's so strong, why did she say that Cloud Sky City has no more master-level experts? She's not a member of Cloud Sky City, but an enemy of Cloud Sky City. Yin Yan said. A life and death enemy. You'll know when you see her tomorrow. Yin Yan turned and walked outside. Rest early. If you need anything, you can call Lure outside. After Yin Yan left, Yang Dingtian ate a simple meal, took a bath and then lay down to rest. Yang Dingtian didn't sleep on Yin Yan's bed. Instead, he found a mat and laid it on the floor. He directly laid down on the hard floor and slept without any blanket, even though Yin Yan's blanket was soft and fragrant. The lights went out, but Yang Dingtian couldn't sleep. He raised his head and looked at the ceiling. This was a completely unfamiliar place. Logically speaking, this place should be Yang Dingtian's home. However, he still felt waves of loneliness and unfamiliarity. 15 days, 1.5 years, 5 years. Yang Dingtian looked at the ceiling and muttered to himself, Master, I'm crazy. How can I do this? Advance to level 16 in 15 days and break through from an enlightener to a 6-star Xian martial artist. 1.5 years later, defeat all the young disciples of Cloud Sky City and obtain the position of Cloud Sky City Lord. 5 years later, defeat the world's #1 genius, the world's #1 youth expert Dongfang Bingling. These missions, each crazier than the last, each more impossible than the last. Master, what should I do? Yang Dingtian muttered to himself as he reached out and touched the location of the flame ring. Sigh. Suddenly an old sigh sounded in his ears. Yang Dingtian was startled and asked, Who is it? Child. The voice sounded again. It was very familiar. It was Dongfang Minmi's voice, but it wasn't in Yang Dingtian's ears, but in his mind. Chapter 33. Master. Yang Dingtian didn't dare to believe it. He opened his eyes wide, afraid that this was his hallucination. It's me, child. It's really been hard on you. Dongfang Minmi's voice slowly sounded. Master, you're still alive? Yang Dingtian was overjoyed. His eyes immediately became hot. Of course I'm already dead. Dongfang Minmi said. It's just that I left a strand of divine sense in your brain. The energy of the flame ring supports the existence of my divine sense. Originally, according to my original plan, when you were strong enough to summon the flame ring, you could also activate my divine sense in your brain. However, because Shiman Wuxia unintentionally summoned the flame ring, my divine sense was activated ahead of time. Dongfang Minmi let out a long sigh and said, I didn't think that things would turn out like this. I really didn't think that my daughter would turn out like this. Why didn't your divine sense appear in my brain from the beginning? Perhaps this way so many things wouldn't have happened. Yang Dingtian said, This divine sense of mine can only exist for 3 years. I wanted to guide you during the most critical 3 years. Dongfang Minmi said, Moreover, even if my divine sense existed, what should have happened would still happen. Because I can only communicate with you. Others can't see me or hear me. My daughter was so obedient when she was young. How could she turn out like this? How could this be? How could this be? Dongfang Minmi sighed. His voice was filled with loneliness and sadness. Child, I'm sorry. It's been hard on you. Originally, I wanted to give you everything. I didn't think that I would almost cause you to lose your life. If it wasn't for Wuxia, you really would have died at the hands of my ambitious daughter. Dongfang Minmi said. Yang Dingtian said in his heart, but martial Uncle Shiman died at the hands of Zhu Qingzhu because of me? I know. I know everything that happened after my divine sense was activated. However, at that time I was condensing my divine sense. Only now can I communicate with you. Dongfang Minmi said slowly. Zhu Qingzhu. The soul-devouring qi has reappeared after 1,000 years. I was right. The Yinyang school might really be destroyed by my daughter. Perhaps it's not just Yinyang school, but the entire world. Zhu Qingzhu, you have such evil intentions. Dongfang Minmi said. Everything depends on you, child. Saving the Yinyang school depends on you. Saving Cloud Sky City depends on you. Perhaps the entire world depends on you. Breaking through to become a 6-star Xian martial artist in 15 days is only the first challenge you will face. Although it seems impossible, you must do it. Otherwise, you will never be able to overcome the difficulties that follow. Dongfang Minmi said. I will do everything I can to help you overcome them. Yang Dingtian asked, Master, can we do it? Dongfang Minmi shook his head and said, I don't know. We can only do our best. Dongfang Minmi did not finish his sentence. He was already a top talent, but it took him more than half a year to go from being an enlightener to a 6-star Xian martial artist. Yang Dingtian, on the other hand, only had 15 days. Child, regardless of whether you can do it or not, do your best. Use 100% or 200% of your efforts to do it. Then there will be no regrets. Dongfang Minmi said, have a good sleep. We will begin tomorrow. The time I can accompany you is very short, so I have to go and rest. If you need me, just summon me in your heart. Yes, Master. Yang Dingtian slowly closed his eyes. Because of his master's presence, the heaviness on his body seemed to have been reduced by half. He could finally breathe comfortably. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian asked, Master, can we save martial Uncle Shiman? Although he has no heartbeat and no breath, his body is not rotten at all. He is exactly the same as when he was alive. I remember that you used the last of your Xian Qi to protect your last trace of life and closed your breath for 10 years. Dongfang Minmi was silent for a long time before he said, it is even more difficult to break through to the Xian martial artist in these 10 days. It is 10 times, 100 times more difficult. That is soul-devouring Xian Qi. Yang Dingtian slowly closed his eyes and quietly clenched his fists. He thought to himself, it is very, very difficult, but I will not give up. Even if I have to go to the ends of the earth, even if I have to give up everything. This was the most beautiful sleep Yang Dingtian had ever had. Because of his master, Dongfang Minmi's reappearance, he could finally have a good sleep. When he woke up, Yang Dingtian and Yinyan had already come over. Because Yang Dingtian was sleeping on the ground, she was standing on top of Yang Dingtian's head. Seeing Yang Dingtian sleeping on the ground, Yinyan frowned and said, Why are you sleeping on the ground? Are you deliberately drawing a line between us? Or are you expressing your dissatisfaction? You definitely don't want me to sleep on your bed. Yang Dingtian quickly got up and went to wash up. When he came back, Yang Dingtian had already brought over breakfast for 2 people. However, only Yang Dingtian ate. Yinyan said that she had already eaten at her mother's place. Is your mother better? Yang Dingtian asked. Not good, Yinyan said. But Yang Dingtian buried his head and ate breakfast. Very quickly, he was like a whirlwind that swept away the clouds. He finished the portion for 2 people cleanly. Let's go, Yinyan said. I'll bring you to see that powerful person. Dongfang Minmi had reappeared. So Yang Dingtian didn't believe that there was another person in this world who was more suitable to make him stronger. He wanted to refuse, but he couldn't find a reason. Are you sure she can make me break through to the Xian martial artist realm in 15 days? Yang Dingtian asked. I'm not sure, but if she can't, then I firmly believe that no one can, Yinyan said and walked out. Yang Dingtian followed Yinyan. and came to a dark castle in the corner of Cloud Heaven City. This castle was very small and was only about 10 meters tall. Yin brought Yang Dingtian into the castle. There was nothing inside. It was pitch black and they couldn't even see their own fingers. They lit a torch and pressed a switch. A hole appeared in the ground and below it were stairs that led downwards. The two of them entered the cave and walked down the steps. They kept going down, down and down. They didn't know how long they had walked or how many stairs they had walked. They should have reached the middle of the mountain. Who would be locked up in this place? Finally, the two of them stopped. In front of them was a thick stone door. Yin took out a key and inserted it into the hole. Rumble! With a loud sound, the two stone doors that were more than a meter thick slowly opened. A gust of hot air suddenly came out, almost burning the hair on their bodies. Behind the door was an incomparably huge cave. A piece of stone stretched out from the wall of the cave, forming a platform that was more than 10 meters long and 3 meters wide. Below the platform was a bottomless abyss. At the bottom of the abyss was fiery red magma, with sparks shooting up from time to time. The entire platform was the only place where they could stand. If they fell down, they would definitely be smashed to pieces. Dozens of meters in front of the platform, a 2-meter square iron cage was suspended in mid-air, neither up nor down. Inside the iron cage, there seemed to be a person locked inside by 4 thick iron chains. Her whole body was wrapped in fiery red long hair. Her face and body couldn't be seen at all. Around the iron cage there was a circle of light, which seemed to be some kind of very powerful formation. Who was this person? How powerful was she? Why was she trapped in this hell-like place? Alluring, I've come to see you, Yin said. The person inside the iron cage raised her head. Her fiery red long hair scattered. Then she stood up from the iron cage, revealing her face and body. Suddenly Yang Dingtian was dumbstruck. Then he felt as if his whole body was about to be burned in an instant. This was a woman. This was an extremely seductive woman. Yang Dingtian had seen the world's top beauties. Moreover, he had seen 4 of them. But Yang Dingtian had never seen such a seductive woman. Seductive to the point of being frightening. Yang Dingtian finally knew what the legendary vixen looked like. Her facial features were not extremely beautiful, but extremely seductive. Her long and narrow eyes emitted a soul-sucking ray of light from her dark green pupils. Her whole face was very long and sharp. Her nose was very high, also long and sharp. Her blood-red lips were full and alluring. This was not a typical face of a beauty. Instead, it looked like a fox's face. But when combined together, it formed an incomparable impact. It was absolutely devastatingly beautiful. There was no imperfection on her body. Every inch of her body could easily ignite the fire in any man's heart. Yin, are you finally willing to come to see your master? Alluring voice was hoarse and full of teasing. Then her beautiful eyes fell on Yang Dingtian's face. She smiled charmingly and said, "You also brought a delicious little man." Alluring stuck out her red tongue, licked her red lips and said, "Little man, what's your name? Ignore her. Don't talk to her. Don't look at her eyes." Yin and Shiman said, "Otherwise your mind will be bewitched. She is not a human. She is a several hundred years old mysterious tail fire demon fox. She has already turned into a human form." Yin said, "More than 10 years ago, Father invited Dongfang Minmi and several other strong masters to capture her and seal her here." Suddenly Yang Dingtian sucked in a mouthful of cold air. More than 10 years ago, Shiman Wuya and Dongfang Minmi were already masters. The two of them joined forces and still had to invite other masters to capture this vixen. It could be seen how powerful she was. Now her demon core has been taken out and hidden in a secret place. She is also completely sealed. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to bring you to see her, Yin said. When I was young, I didn't know anything. I came here with Mother to play a few times. We talked a lot. She seemed to like me very much. I don't know why. Alluring, I have something to ask you for help, Yin said. Say it, little darling. Alluring Rao looked at Yin and said, "You have lost a lot of weight. It really makes my heart ache. The man beside me is my husband. He has just passed the enlightenment period. I want him to break through to 6-star Xian martial artist in the shortest time possible. Can you?" Yin said. Chapter 34. Yao Rao looked up and down at Yang Dingtian's body and nodded. If it's someone else, it definitely won't work. But with me, it's definitely possible. If it's someone else, it definitely won't work. But with him, it's definitely possible. Your little man's talent is very, very amazing. Even I can't see it clearly. Yao Rao's eyes shone brightly. Yin, your eyes are very good. You really know how to pick a man. But with such good talent, why is it that he's only just past the enlightenment period? Don't worry about that. Yin said. How long will it take for him to become a 6-star Xian martial artist? Yao Rao calculated as she read, then said, half a year. No, that's too long. Yin said. Yao Rao's eyes turned and said, if there's a slightly evil method, maybe it can be shorter. About 4 months. No, that's too long. Yin said. Yao Rao frowned and said, even if it's Dongfang Minmi, even if it's Zhu Qingzhu, they can't become 6-star Xian martial artists in 3 months. Baby, isn't your request too high? Yin said, if it's not high, why would I come to you? No matter what method it is, how long will it take? Yao Rao thought for a long time and said, 3 months. No matter how short it is, I can't do anything. Also, the method is very strange and the consequences are very serious. Yin said, only 15 days. It can't be longer. After half a month, we will be expelled from Cloud Sky City. 15 days. How is that possible? Yao Rao said, also, your father is almost invincible in the entire Western continent. Who dares to do anything to you? My father is no longer here. Yin said indifferently. Impossible. Yao Rao said, who in the world can kill him? Not even Dongfang Minmi. Yang Dingtian said. Zhu Qingzhu, soul devourer Xianqi. Soul devourer? Yao Rao's delicate body trembled. Even at her level, her beautiful eyes narrowed, revealing a trace of fear. Soul devourer has appeared in the world again? Was the world's martial arts going to fall again? But why is it Zhu Qingzhu and not me? Yao Rao coldly said, filled with unwillingness. Yao Rao, in 15 days, no matter what, make Yang Dingtian become a 6-star Xian martial artist. Yin coldly said. Her tone towards Yao Rao was always very impolite. Little darling, I really can't do it. I really can't make him advance to level 16 within 15 days. I really can't do it. Enchanting Rao said. You know I love you very much. I always want to accept you as my disciple. So as long as I can do it, I will definitely help you. But I really can't. Yin's beautiful face suddenly showed despair and said with a sigh, if even you can't do it, then no one in the world can do it. Don't tell me that father's mission can't be completed? Seeing Yin's pale face, Yao Rao's beautiful eyes were filled with heartache. She bit her red lips and said, Yin, there is a method, but it is very evil. I don't know if this method can make him advance to level 16 within 15 days. Maybe it can, maybe it is impossible, it depends on the grade of his blood lineage. Yin was pleasantly surprised and said, quickly say it. Yao Rao said, but this method will make you sacrifice a lot, are you willing? I am willing. What method? Yin hastily asked. In Yang devourer Xianqi, almost no one in the world knows about this secret method. Yao Rao said, first, prepare many treasures and materials, and form a special formation above the magma. Then you too will use a very mysterious evil method to transfer the Xianqi in your body into the little man's body. You can do this up to 9 times, and finally the Xianqi in your body will be completely exhausted. But the specific amount of Xianqi entering the little man's qi will depend on the grade of his Xianqi. But as far as I know, each time you can swallow less than 1% of Xianqi. Moreover, this is an evil method that can only be used between husband and wife. Just as Yao Rao finished speaking, Yin suddenly cried out in alarm, and her beautiful face instantly turned red. Yang Dingtian's neck even turned red. What? You don't want to? Yao Rao said. Yin fiercely clenched her teeth and said, who said I don't want to? Say, how do we start? First you have to refine your body. Yao Rao said, you too have to have nothing on your body, and let the strong fire attribute Xianqi temper your body and spirit. Then I will read out Yin-Yang harmony art, and let you two enter the illusion, and open your profound entrances. Then I will lay down a formation, and you two will operate Yin-Yang devour Xian great technique, and transfer the Xianqi in your body into the little man's body. Suddenly Yin's entire body became scalding hot, and her breathing became hurried. Her chest unceasingly heaved, and she fell into an intense struggle. And Yang Dingtian's body seemed to be burned by the magma in the abyss, and even breathing was painful. Because this yin-yang devour Xian great technique was very evil, and it could only be used between husband and wife. Suddenly, Dongfang Minmi's voice echoed in Yang Dingtian's mind. Child, this yin-yang devour Xian great technique is indeed very powerful. If you want, it can indeed let you rise 16 levels to 6-star Xian martial artist in the shortest time possible. Then Dongfang Minmi said again. This firefox was indeed captured by me, Yin Yin and others. Because of some special reasons, she really won't harm Shimin Yin Yin. You can indeed trust her in yin-yang devour Xian great technique. It can be said that this is almost the only way to quickly increase your cultivation, the only way. However, everything is up to you. Master won't interfere. After speaking, Dongfang Minmi disappeared again and entered a deep sleep. At this time, Yin Yin, who was struggling incomparably, closed her beautiful eyes and gradually calmed herself down. Opening her beautiful eyes again, Yin Yin looked at Yang Dingtian and said indifferently, I said, as a wife, I am willing to do everything I should do. Then Yin Yin reached out to undo her clothes. Yang Dingtian felt as if his entire body was being burned by magma. Fortunately, he had already cleansed his marrow and meridians to the 3rd level, otherwise, he would have already died from spontaneous combustion. His heart was beating so fast that it hurt, and his breathing was as rapid as a bellows. Yin Yin gritted her jade teeth and held back her tears. She looked at Yang Dingtian and said indifferently, What are you waiting for? That's right, Shimin Yin Yin was holding back her tears. Desperately suppressing all his impulses, Yang Dingtian said slowly, I don't want to. What did you say? Yin Yin loosened her arms in front of her chest and said, Say it again. I don't want to. Yang Dingtian said word by word. I don't want you to do this. Shimin Yin Yin's face turned cold. Why? This is not the time for you to be unreasonable. I don't want you to sacrifice for me. I don't want you to give yourself to me because of your father. I don't want your profound qi. I want to rely on myself to become strong. Yang Dingtian said slowly, Master sacrificed for me. City Lord Shimin sacrificed for me. From now on, I don't want anyone to sacrifice for me. After speaking, Yang Dingtian suddenly turned around and left. Yang Dingtian, stop right there. Shimin Yin Yin coldly shouted. Yang Dingtian didn't stop walking. Yang Dingtian, if you take one more step, you will no longer be my man. I will look down on you. A man acting so sorrowfully because of his pitiful pride. Shimin Yin Yin look down on you. Shimin Yin Yin said seriously, You are not doing this for yourself. You are doing this for me, for Cloud Heaven City. Why are you talking about love? As long as you walk out of this stone door, you will no longer be my man. Shimin Yin Yin said word by word. Yang Dingtian turned his head and said slowly, Yin Yin, your selflessness is actually the same as Dongfang Bingling's selfishness and callousness. It is cruel and heartless. My mission, I will complete it. Yang Dingtian spoke unhurriedly. I do owe you a lot, but I want to use my own method to complete everything. Then Yang Dingtian directly walked out. Yang Dingtian, you bastard. Behind him, Shimin Yin Yin angrily cursed and then said coldly, Remember, you are no longer my man. I will not care about your matters anymore. I will just wait for death. Yang Dingtian first ran to the highest point of Cloud Heaven City and looked down at the ground. He wanted to shout out all the pent-up emotions in his heart, but he didn't. He only looked at the ground from the highest point for half an hour. Then, he closed his eyes and allowed his complicated emotions to gradually calm down. Then he walked towards Cloud Heaven City's hidden art pavilion. No matter what happened, he didn't have time to waste. The hidden art pavilion was a 9-story stone tower. It was wide at the bottom and narrow at the top. The higher the level of the secret manuals. The hidden art pavilion was built on a lonely mountain peak. This mountain peak was outside of Cloud Heaven City. After exiting the west gate of Cloud Heaven City, one had to cross a long suspension bridge to reach it. Along the way, many people pointed at Yang Dingtian and revealed disdainful smiles. Yang Dingtian could completely ignore them. After exiting the city gate, he walked onto the swaying suspension bridge. Under the bridge was a wide and turbulent river that was at least 1,000 meters high. Not far ahead was the hidden art pavilion, the most important place in Cloud Heaven City. Hidden inside were all the secret manuals and scrolls of Cloud Heaven City. It was the core of a martial arts sect. Suddenly, a graceful red figure flashed past. Yang Dingtian was blocked by Shi Minyan. With a light leap, Yin Yan stood on the rope at the edge of the suspension bridge. A strong wind blew, and her red clothes stuck tightly to Yin Yan's body. Yang Dingtian, come back with me and use the devouring Xian technique to absorb my Xian qi. As long as you say no, I will jump down from here. Without using any Xian qi, I will fall to my death in front of you. Note: bosses, please add me to your collection. Please recommend me. Thank you. Chapter 35. Just a moment ago, Yin Yan kept on saying that she would no longer pay attention to Yang Dingtian and would no longer see him, but in less than an hour, she once again appeared in front of Yang Dingtian. If it was in the past, I would definitely no longer pay attention to you. I wouldn't want to see you, and I wouldn't want to say a word to you. Yin Yan looked at the surging river below and said, but those days where I could be willful are just like the flowing water below. Once gone, it will never come back. Yang Dingtian, the two of us don't have the right to be pretentious. Is Yaoraozin Yang Devour mysterious great technique the only way to quickly become stronger? I know. Yang Dingtian said. That's right. He was even more clear than Yin. I have already planned it out. First, I will use the mysterious Devour mysterious great technique to give you my mysterious qi. After you completely refine my mysterious qi, I will find a second wife for you, and use the same method to give her mysterious qi to you. Yin Yan said almost expressionlessly, she is much stronger than me, and you can rest assured she is very moving, and much more gentle and virtuous than me. Suddenly Yang Dingtian was so shocked that he couldn't make any sound. He didn't expect that Yan not only wanted to offer herself, but also wanted to pull another woman. Yes, this is very unfair to her. Yin Yan said, she was adopted by father, called Shima Ningning, and can be regarded as his other daughter. We are closer than biological sisters, and we even joke that we will marry the same man in the future. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, not to mention that doing this will make me lose my self-esteem. Just based on our current situation, I absolutely can't have an intimate relationship with you. Yin Yan blushed and said, you want to say that before you get my heart, you absolutely won't really want me, right? Yang Dingtian lowered his head in tacit agreement. Don't tell me you don't know that in fact if you want to get a woman's heart, you have to get her body first. When Yin Yan said this, her beautiful eyes unnaturally turned away, and her beautiful face was completely red. So stop being so pretentious and come back with me. Yin Yan stretched out her small hand, her beautiful eyes blossoming with gentleness as she said, don't worry. I'll learn to love you without worry. Believe me, it won't be long before I put you in my heart. Yang Dingtian's chest began to heave up and down again. He said slowly, Yin, don't force me. I can't do it. Yin Yan's beautiful face immediately became angry. She was about to flare up, but she forcefully restrained herself and said, then I can tell you, even if I don't give my profound energy to you, it will still be wasted. In at most 2 years, the profound energy in my body will completely disperse, and I will become powerless. Why is this happening? Yang Dingtian asked in shock. Don't worry about it, Yin Yan said. In short, you have to know that giving you my profound energy is already the best outcome. Now you just need to tell me, do you agree or not? After being silent for a long time, Yang Dingtian said word by word, sorry, I can't do it. Yang Dingtian, you're not a man. Yin Yan finally couldn't help but flip out. Her jade finger pointed at Yang Dingtian and said coldly, you hypocritical man. I've said all the good and bad things, and I'll ask you one last time. Do you agree or not? If you say no again, I'll jump down and die. I'll do what I say. Yin Yan's beautiful face was filled with determination. Her beautiful eyes stared at Yang Dingtian. Her temper was very strong, and she really meant what she said. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath. He didn't agree or refuse and directly said, if you jump, I'll jump too. Let's just be a pair of mandarin ducks with the same fate. Suddenly Yin Yan was so angry that her entire body was trembling. Her beautiful face was red with anger. Her eyes were wide open, as if they were about to spit out fire. Yang Dingtian, do you know? I can't wait to kill you with my sword. I've never seen a man as hateful as you. I won't like you even after 100 years. Yin jumped from the rope back to the suspension bridge, and then directly walked forward. After walking for more than 10 meters, Yin turned around and angrily said, "What are you still standing there for? Why aren't you following me to the Hidden Merit Pavilion to practice? I want to see what kind of person you are. If you can't, then obediently come and sleep with me. Don't say any more nonsense." The two angrily walked across the suspension bridge, which was a few hundred meters long, and arrived at the Hidden Merit Pavilion. What a huge and magnificent Hidden Merit Pavilion! Although this stone tower only had 9 floors, it was a full 200 meters long. The bottom floor occupied an area of nearly 10,000 square meters. If the Hidden Merit Pavilion is so important, why isn't there even a guard? Yang Dingtian asked. Yin didn't want to bother with him, but after a while she unhappily said, "Who said there's no one guarding? Elder Mu Yi is in charge of guarding the Hidden Merit Pavilion. He's the elder in the Elder Council that you haven't seen before. In Cloud Heaven City, his cultivation is second only to my father. However, he's guarding the Hidden Merit Pavilion's array, so he can't leave this mountain peak." Before the sacrifice, Yin rarely spoke to Yang Dingtian. Her attitude was indifferent, but she was always polite. After the sacrifice, Yin's attitude towards Yang Dingtian was filled with anger. This was perhaps a very moving change. Yang Dingtian also understood why an elder was absent at such an important time like the Elder Council's vote. "Which floor are we going to?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Of course the first floor. You're not even a novice warrior. Which floor do you want to go to?" Yin still unhappily said. Then, she directly walked through the door of the Hidden Merit Pavilion's first floor. Yang Dingtian followed her in and walked through a blue light screen door. A wave of energy gently blocked him, and then Yang Dingtian smoothly entered. The door of the first floor could be passed through as long as one had passed the Enlightenment period. The space of the first floor was very large. It had an area of over 10,000 square meters. 10 rooms surrounded the entire hall in a circular shape. These rooms had the words First Rank Cultivation Technique Room, Second Rank Cultivation Technique Room, Third Rank Cultivation Technique Room, Ninth Rank Cultivation Technique Room. Only the door of the last room had nothing written on it. The empty space in the center of the hall was about 100 square meters. There was almost nothing in it except for a ball of sparkling water floating in the center. That ball of water was about 1 foot square. It didn't fall even though it was 1.5 meters high in the air. It was constantly moving in an irregular shape. In the water, balls of blue flames were quietly burning. This ball of water and fire is used to test your Xian Meridian's talent. Yin said. Your Xian Meridian's talent will determine your Xian Meridian's talent. The higher your Xian Meridian's talent, the higher the Xian Meridian's talent. Yang Dingtian knew that he had 9 Sun Divine Meridians, but his master Dongfang Minmi told him to never tell anyone about it. How many Xian Meridian's talent are there? Yang Dingtian asked. I don't know, Yin said, but in the past 1,000 years, the highest Xian Meridian's talent was only 9th Meridians. There were a total of 9 people, and these 9 people all advanced to the Martial Saint realm. However, the last 9th Meridian's talent was more than 300 years ago. Therefore, there hasn't been a Martial Saint expert for more than 400 years. Then Yin frowned and said, Put your hand in. I want to see how much Uncle Dongfang and Father value you. What kind of genius are you? When she said this, Yin's mouth was filled with unwillingness and unwillingness. By the way, what is my master's Xian Meridians? What is Martial Uncle Shiman's Xian Meridians? Yang Dingtian asked. My father is 8th Meridians and Sect Master Dongfang is 8th Meridians. However, my father has 8th Meridians, and his cultivation is not inferior to Sect Master Dongfang. Therefore, he is the strongest person in the world. Yin curled her lips and said, By the way, your ex-fiancée Dongfang Bingling is 8th Meridians, but her 8th Meridians are higher than Sect Master Dongfang. She is regarded as the person closest to 9th Meridians in the world. What about you? Yang Dingtian asked again. Yin's beautiful eyes flickered. She clenched her fist and gritted her teeth. 8th Meridians are close to 8th Meridians, only a little worse than your ruthless ex-wife. Yang Dingtian was slightly shocked. He really didn't expect that Yin's Xian Meridians were close to 8th Meridians. She was almost at the top of the world. Then why was there such a huge gap between his cultivation and Dongfang Bingling's? She couldn't even beat Shimin Yan. Why was this? You want to ask why my Xian meridians are so talented, but why are they so weak? I can't even beat Dongfang Bingling's little finger, right? Yanyan Shimin said loudly. Let me tell you, my current cultivation is the same as when I was 9 years old. When I was 15 years old, something happened to me. Therefore, no matter how hard I tried to cultivate, my cultivation kept regressing. No matter how hard I tried, it was useless. In 2 years, I won't have any martial strength left. Do you finally know why I was willing to give you the Xian Qi in my body? It's because it's a waste in my body. You hypocrite. If I wasn't injured that year, why would I ask you to marry me? Why would I ask you to have sex with me? Why would I need you to become the Lord of Cloud Sky City? The original me was the most outstanding genius of Cloud Sky City in the past 300 years. This should be Yanyan's most painful past. A past that she didn't want to touch. Saying it now was the same as fiercely tearing open the scar in the depths of her memory. She tried to hold back her tears, but she was crying in her heart. She saw a trace of blood seeping out from the corner of Yanyan's mouth. She gritted her teeth too hard. She clenched her fists so tightly that her nails pierced her tender palms. Blood flowed through the gaps between her fingers. Young Dingtian, aren't you the only one with a painful and tragic past? Aren't you the only one who was betrayed? Yanyan stared at Yang Dingtian. So can you put away your pretentious feelings? For the sake of Cloud Sky City, for the sake of my father's mission, have sex with me and accept my Xian Qi? Yang Dingtian slowly walked forward and grabbed her fists. He carefully pried open her stiff palms and said softly, I'm sorry, Yanyan. I know too little about you. But please give me a chance. Give me a chance to prove myself. We don't have time, my husband. Yanyan said word by word. We only have half a month. Give me time, give me time. Otherwise, I won't be able to raise my head for the rest of my life. Yang Dingtian said firmly and gently. Then, he used his finger to gently wipe away the blood at the corner of Yanyan's mouth and said, I believe that you have had your moments of pride before. You also know the pain of having your pride shattered. Yang Dingtian's last words moved Yanyan. She used to be as proud as Dongfang Bingling. But now her martial arts cultivation had completely faded into the crowd. She had been completely forgotten by the world. Only her beauty was left. Okay, I'll give you time. I'll give you 10 days. Yanyan stared at Yang Dingtian. If you break through to the Xian martial artist in 10 days, then it proves that you can rely on your own strength to continue. If you can't, then it proves that you can't. Then use my method to accept my and Sister Ningning's profound energy through the Yin Yang Devour profound art. How about it? It's a deal. Yang Dingtian said slowly. Now let's see how talented my profound veins are. I'm valued by my master and your father. Then Yang Dingtian said, What should I do? Just put your hands into the water. Yanyan's beautiful eyes looked at the flame in the water and said, This flame is the purest profound energy. When your hands are close to it, the profound veins in your body will be attracted to it. The higher the grade of your bloodline, the greater the attraction, and the bigger the blue flame. When the volume of the flame occupies 1/10 of the water, it means that your bloodline is first grade. If the volume of the flame exceeds 4/5, then it's 8th grade. If it exceeds 9/10, then it's 9th grade. Yanyan said. Dongfang Bingling's flame occupies 80% of the volume. She's only one step away from 9th grade. Yang Dingtian immediately held his breath. Although he knew that he had 9 yang profound veins, he was still a little nervous. He didn't know that 9 yang profound veins were top grade. Could it be 9th grade? Yanyan seemed to be even more nervous than Yang Dingtian. Because all her hopes were placed on Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian's hands slowly reached into the water. The flame seemed to feel a force of attraction. It slowly stretched and approached Yang Dingtian's palm. The flame grew longer and longer. Yanyan stared at the flame and couldn't breathe. Chapter 36. Yanyan felt as if her heart was about to jump out of her chest. When the flame came into contact with Yang Dingtian's palm, it wasn't hot at all. There was a very mysterious feeling, as if the flame had a life of its own. Suddenly the flame fiercely shot up. Heavens! Yanyan suddenly let out a cry of surprise, not daring to believe what she was seeing. When the flame came into contact with Yang Dingtian's palm, it suddenly became incomparably violent and sharp. It suddenly became longer and thicker, turning into a blue flame sword. It fiercely pierced out of the water, straight towards Yang Dingtian's forehead. The flame sword was nearly a meter long, while the water was only a square foot. A flame sword that was more than a meter long. Yang Dingtian cried out in surprise, and Yin hurriedly rushed over to save him. But when the flame sword just touched Yang Dingtian's forehead, it retracted back like lightning, once again becoming docile, and the flame in the water became smaller and smaller. Yin, what grade of profound veins is my profound veins? Yang Dingtian looked at the flame in surprise. Yin stared blankly at everything, and after a long while she shook her head and said, I don't know what grade this is. The flame directly rushed out of the water. I've never seen or heard of this before. But I finally know why my father and Uncle Dongfeng value you so much, and would place all their hopes on you. Yin looked at Yang Dingtian with a slightly complicated gaze and said, in the future, no matter where, in front of anyone, you can't take the profound veins test. At this time the sound of footsteps suddenly came from outside, and a person walked in through the energy door. Yang Dingtian quickly pulled his hands out of the water, and the flame quickly returned to its original state, quietly burning in the water. Don't block it, I've already seen it. A girl wearing a purple-red dress walked in. She looked at Yang Dingtian from head to toe and said, You are the husband of our Princess Shimin? Fiske. The girl shook her head and said to Yin, cousin, your vision isn't very good. It's fine if this man doesn't look that good, but his talent is so mediocre. Third rank, he's only third rank. You actually chose a person with third-grade profound veins to be your husband. You actually want him to become a 6-star profound martial artist in 15 days and defeat all the experts in Cloud Sky City in a year and a half. You want him to become the new lord of Cloud Sky City? This is truly absurd. The purple-red girl smiled and said, The 2 boys beside me are my new students. Like your husband, they have just passed the enlightenment period and are here to choose secret manuals. But they're only in their teens. Your husband is already 20. Shimin Yin, before you turned 15, weren't you extremely arrogant? You said that only martial saints were worthy of being your husband. Why do you want this kind of trash now? You really don't reject anyone. The girl continued to speak harshly. This girl was also very beautiful. She was very tall and had 2 long legs. She had a delicate oval face. Unfortunately, her lips were a little thin. Even though she used lip gloss to cover it, it was fine when she didn't speak. Once she spoke, it couldn't be covered up. It was because of this thin lip that she couldn't become a first-class beauty. Yin's beautiful eyes were cold as she said, Tang Xan, you change your face very quickly. I remember that half a year ago you were still trying to please me. Even after the gift you gave me was thrown away, you still had a smile on your face. So what? The girl called Tang Xan said, Now that your father is no longer here, you're no longer the princess of Cloud Sky City. 4 years ago your profound veins left you. Now all you have left is that vixen face of yours. Yin was so angry that she trembled. She couldn't speak for a moment. In a year and a half, you'll have to shamefully remarry to the Qin clan's young master. Who knows, you might not even be able to be his wife. You can only be a lowly concubine. Tang Xan smiled and said, Oh right, I forgot to tell you. Brother Shimin, who was infatuated with you, has already proposed to my father. Yin was slightly stunned. Shimin-ju's infatuation with her had indeed reached the point of madness. It was to the point that he hadn't married even when he was in his 30s. My brother Shimin-ju, compared to your husband, the difference is like heaven and earth. Tang Xan looked at Yin and said, Cousin, I really sympathize with you. You were so arrogant before. After your father died, you had nothing. Now that you've fallen to this state, it's really retribution. Hearing the other party mentioning her father in such a harsh tone, Yin's beautiful eyes were filled with anger. Her small hand grabbed the weapon at her waist and was about to pull it out to kill this woman in front of her. However, she forcefully held it in. Although Yin was unruly before, she was also naive and romantic. She didn't know how to quarrel and couldn't be compared to this harsh Tang Xan in front of her. Therefore, she was so angry that her whole body trembled. Yang Dingtian held Yin's ice-cold wrist and walked in front of her and Tang Xan. He looked at the other party from head to toe. Tang Xian proudly raised her head and allowed Yang Dingtian to look at her. She was a great beauty and she had the right to be proud. Wow, you're really not bad. You're also very tall. Especially your legs, they're unusually long. Yang Dingtian praised, Shimanju is young and handsome. Indeed, you're a good match. Hearing Yang Dingtian's praise, Tang Xian looked pleased and said, Cousin, brother Shimanju's infatuation with you in the past was all fake. The one he truly loved was me. Now that your father is no longer here, he immediately threw himself into my arms. Even if you're so jealous that you want to vomit blood, it's useless. Yang Dingtian ignored her. His gaze landed on Tang Xian's chest and said, The front is also perky, and the back is also perky. Your figure is not bad. Suddenly, Yanyan's face became very ugly. She fiercely glared at Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian continued to sneer, however. It's a pity that it's all fake. It's all padded. I'm very worried for you. Will Shimanju return the goods when he consummates with you? Will he throw you out of the window? Before Yang Dingtian could finish, he cried out in pain because Yanyan had ruthlessly pinched his waist. He endured the pain and narrowed his eyes. Look at Yanyan again. There's not a single spot on her body that isn't perfect. Even when you're angry, you're still 10,000 times more charming than when you're acting coquettishly. Yang Dingtian cried out in pain again. Yanyan had already used both her hands to pinch him. Don't think that just because something happened to City Lord Shiman, you can turn around and become a princess. Stop dreaming. Cloud Heaven City only has one princess, and that's Yanyan. Don't be so impatient to take revenge on your previous flattery. It's important to know one's self. If you do this, the first person who wants to kill you is not anyone else but your brother Shimanju. Tang Xian's face was already distorted from anger, because Yang Dingtian's words had stabbed her where it hurt. She had already tried her best to cover up these flaws, but they were still seen through by Yang Dingtian and magnified infinitely. I'm going to kill you. Instantly, Tang Xian, who was so angry that her entire body was trembling, pulled out her long sword and stabbed towards Yang Dingtian. Enough! Suddenly, a shout came from outside. It was Shimanju's voice. Instantly, Tang Xian seemed to be frozen in place. Shimanju didn't enter. Instead, he stood outside and said, Tang Xian, do what you're supposed to do. Yes. Tang Xian's face was filled with fear. She was afraid that Shimanju would hear Yang Dingtian talking about her flaws. Shimanju's cold snort was enough to make her tremble. It could be seen that she really loved him to the extreme. After hearing Shimanju's words, she immediately brought her 2 students into a 5th grade martial arts room. She even carefully closed the door. Shimanju still didn't enter. He only said coldly, only a clown would show off. Did you come to Cloud Heaven City just to be a clown like this? He didn't even call out Yang Dingtian's name. It could be seen that he was extremely disdainful. Yang Dingtian smiled and said, A man has to protect his woman at all times. I'm too weak now and can't defeat your woman. Therefore, I can only use my mouth to fight. I've made a fool of myself. I hope that half a month later, you can also use your best to defeat your opponent, Shimanju said coldly. Then, he left without any signs of life. Yanyan tilted her head and stared at Yang Dingtian with a strange gaze. You seem to know a woman's body very well? You can tell clearly even through the clothes? Yang Dingtian rubbed his waist and said, I haven't eaten pork, but I've seen a pig run. Yanyan continued, Also, what did you mean by your words just now? Did you say that I'm a vase with only a face? Yanyan, you're being unreasonable. You're already so beautiful. What else do you want? Yang Dingtian said. Yang Dingtian sighed softly and said, But I swear that I will never use my mouth to fight with others again. I will never use my mouth to protect you. Yanyan rolled her eyes at Yang Dingtian and said, It's good that you know. Furthermore, Tang Xian is also a pitiful woman. Now it was time to choose a secret manual to learn. Depending on the grade of the mystic veins, the secret manual would be of the same grade. In front of them, there were a total of 10 secret manuals rooms. They were from the 1st grade to the 9th grade, and there was even a room without a grade. In which room should I enter? Which grade of secret manual should I learn? Yang Dingtian asked. Yin Shiman said, Let's go. Follow me in. Yin Shiman led Yang Dingtian and pushed open the door to a secret manual room. But it was an 8th grade secret manual room, not a 9th grade one. Yang Dingtian was slightly startled but followed her in. In the 8th grade martial arts room, there were only 3 bookshelves in an area of a few hundred square meters. On the first bookshelf there were a total of 5 scrolls. On the second bookshelf there were a total of 3 scrolls. On the third bookshelf there was only 1 scroll. In total there were only 9 secret manuals. Why are there so few secret manuals? Yang Dingtian asked. The higher the grade, the fewer secret manuals. Yinyan Shiman said. In the 1st grade martial arts room, there are a few thousand secret manuals. In the 7th grade martial arts room there are only 80 secret manuals. In the 8th grade martial arts room there are only 9 scrolls. Although I don't know how your talent is, it should be very high. So, the martial arts technique that you want to learn you can choose from these 8 scrolls. Remember, once you choose a secret manual, you can't change it for the rest of your life. A martial artist can only learn one martial arts technique in their lifetime. From the 1st grade to the 9th grade, you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.